The date today is January 27, 2014. The time is 5:30 p.m. This is the meeting of the Paris City Council. I'm going to call the meeting to order. As usual, we will start with the invocation by Pastor Slaughter, followed by Pledge of Allegiance by Dr. Grossnickel. If I can ask, please, everyone to stand.
We bow your heads. Most Heavenly Father, we come right now before your people. These who are gathered in this place, men, women, boys, and girls. Lord God, we ask, first of all, that we could just come before you and say thank you. Because you've been a good God today. Lord God, we don't know about yesterday because yesterday is gone. And Lord God, we know not what tomorrow may bring. But today, God, as we stand here before you in this place, we just say thank you for your grace and your mercy. Lord God, we come this evening, Lord God, praying for this city of Paris. And Lord God, in particular, this city council that is called to order yet another meeting in the beginning of this new year. Lord God, as I look around and I see the people, your people in this land, Lord God, we pray, oh Heavenly Father, in our heart that we would start to acknowledge you more. You said in your word that we should not lean to our own understanding, but in all our ways acknowledge you. And Lord God, I think that if we could just come together a little bit more in unity, be not so divided in our own expressions and our own desires and our own opinions. You know, Heavenly Father, help us tonight, Lord God, as we sit here and discuss and take into consideration these things that are come before the city council. We pray for these leaders, the mayor and his city council, that they would have the discerning spirit that would be good for the people, your people, Lord God. We ask, Heavenly Father, these people that have come tonight, that they would have respect to one another. Oh God, knowing that we all have different ideas and opinions and suggestions. We have all types of thoughts and things that we think are good and right. Lord God, help us to be more respectful of one another, Lord God. Help us not to press upon each other those things that which maybe might not be what one individual may think, but let us come together as one. We may not always agree on each and everything, but Lord God, help us to have a heart of being able to agree to disagree. Lord God, most of all, help us to have a heart of compassion. Help us to have a heart of love for one another as we continue to enter into this new year. Lord God, I pray right now in the Master's name of Jesus, and we say thank God, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 4 is the Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. The Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city, council members, or employees, as well as individual personal appeals, are not appropriate for the Citizens Forum. As I open the Citizens Forum today, I want to make a little announcement before we start. And that is, there is some confusion about when the citizens will have opportunity to speak for or against smoking in restaurants. It was my understanding that they will have an opportunity to speak today, but it is not posted on the agenda as such. So I would request that the citizens who are here to speak in that regard wait till the item comes up, and we will do the Citizens Forum for that particular item at that time. With the council's permission, I will allow people to speak for more than 2 minutes on that particular item in the Citizens Forum. So the Citizens Forum related to the smoking part will be at the time when the agenda item comes up. Because of this confusion, I would also recommend that those who want to speak can come up in the next council meeting and speak, so that there is an opportunity given to those who want to speak and are not here tonight. But they are all invited to attend the next council meeting and voice their opinions. With that said, if anyone wants to address the council in the Citizens Forum on any matter other than the smoking thing, can come up. Please write your name and address for the record.
My name is Charles Waldron, and some of you may have met me several years ago when I was the chairman of a group that rewrote the antiquated statutes and laws of the city. I come tonight to suggest that that we are working hard on the downtown business, and I applaud that. But I also think that we should do something with the downtown living. The problem is the current law, the tenant has to hook a pipe to a water main and then run it up to his building, wherever he's going to be. The fire marshal tells me that's unnecessary to do that. And because of the way that we're set up, we're allowed by Texas law to not do that. And the fire marshal says that if we have 2 outlets and fire alarms, that's all you need. And that you do not need a ton of water flying up there, because that's not going to do anything. Anyway, you have the right to allow this and do this, and it doesn't cost us a penny. So I would hope that you would take that, and because we've talked about it a little bit for years, but we just never got to it. And consequently, we've lost several people that were trying to have those places to live. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate
you, Mr.
it.
Waldron. Reverend Price.
My name is James Price. I live at 1230 Shiloh, Paris, Texas. I'm here tonight to talk to the City Council and to the City of Paris about life changing. The group to go to the crusade coming to Paris, Texas in the spring of this year. If you remember, anybody who knows about Cooper, Texas last year, they drew 5,000 young people to the stadium for Christ. This year we come to Paris, Texas. And I just like to encourage you to come to the banquet, kickoff banquet. Tickets are $10. And I got some pamphlets here I'll pass out. Plus, there's a meeting on the 11th of February at 6:30 at the fairgrounds. Please come out for those who can. 11th February at 6:30 at the fairgrounds and hear more about it. But for those who would like to, please come out. It helps change our community and all those around, especially young people. So we're looking for ways to change and do things in our community. Let's come together on this as a prayer, so let's come together as one. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Price.
Hello, my name is Steve Ekstrom. I live at 725 Medalist Street here in the city of Paris. My wife and I have lived here for 20 years and 2 months, and we've survived both ice storms, and we hauled brush both times to both ice storms. And this year, I'm just so proud of the job the city employees did out at that site. I'm just here to say thank you, because they were all cheerful, helpful, and it was an outstanding operation out there at that site. And so the changes that made from the last ice storm were wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ekstrom. Sorry? There are some seats up front if people want to come and sit down. There are seats there and up front over here. If nobody wants to address the council, the Citizens Forum is now going to be closed for everything other than what I've already described. Next we move to the proclamation, declare the month of February as the month for Project Hope. According to the American Cancer Society, 1 in 4 people are diagnosed with cancer, and according to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention in 2013, cancer was the second most cause of death, causing more deaths than chronic lower respiratory disease, strokes, Alzheimer's, diabetes, nephritis, nephritic syndrome, nephrosis, influenza, pneumonia, and suicides combined. And according to the American Cancer Society, 1,660,290 new cases of cancer are expected to be diagnosed in 2014. 110,270 of these are from Texas alone. And according to cancer.org, more than 1,500 people die from cancer each day in the United States. And according to radiation oncologist Dr. James Petricus, approximately 100 patients receive radiation and/or chemo per day at the Paris Cancer Center. Project HOPE took a survey, and 89% of 150 responses agreed that cancer patients in Lamar County need more resources, and Project HOPE is providing a resource center in the Paris Public Library to increase education and support for patients and their friends and families. Project HOPE has started a counseling group at Crockett Intermediate School for children impacted by cancer to learn to cope with their feelings, and Project HOPE is writing a book for children about the emotions of cancer to help children understand cancer. Now, therefore, I, A.J. Hashmi, Mayor of the City of Paris, during the year of 2013 and 14, believe that cancer patients need more resources. Thus, we need to increase the amount of support for cancer patients so that they can survive their battle with cancer and live a long, fruitful, and productive life thereafter, and do hereby formally declare the month of February 2014 as the month for Project HOPE. If I can please ask Ms. Fleming to come up. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Any of the council members have anything that they want to discuss on the consent agenda? Mr. Wright?
No.
Mr. Jenkins?
No questions.
Ms. Lancaster?
No questions.
Dr. Grossnickel?
No questions.
Ms. Drake?
No, sir.
Mr. Frierson's not here today?
Correct.
Okay. I'll take a motion on this item.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The consent agenda passes. Next on, we move on to the regular agenda. Item number 16, presentation and discussion of a report from a council committee for development of Coxfield Airport. I'm going to ask to table this item. There are some new developments on it, and we'll bring it up in the next council meeting.
I make the motion that we table it.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. Item number 17 is presentation and discussion of a report from Council Committee to address curtailing of drug trafficking and usage. Council Member Drake and Council Member Jenkins have been working with Chief Hundley on this and will give us a presentation.
Chief Hunley's going to
Chief Hundley is going to discuss.
bring everybody up to date at this
Okay.
point.
Surprise, surprise.
No, he won't. First of all, though, before he starts, I would like to say that I'm very hopeful and I'm very pleased with the chief and the manager and Aaron and myself and other members of the community that have come together to discuss this issue in our community. And I just applaud everybody for coming together and having on the same page that, yes, we know there's an issue and that trying to come up with a plan for the city of Paris. And Chief Hundley's sort of going to bring everybody up to date as to what we've done and where we're sort of going from here.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. We had a preliminary meeting with the committee members and decided that we needed or would like to have had more input from other people in the community. And so we invited and had about 22 people, I guess, come to a meeting. It went from law enforcement, district attorney's office, the 3 school districts, not-for-profits, clergy, and we just had a big roundtable about what everybody thought, the issues were. After that meeting, we had information brought to us by April Carl from the United Way that there was a program over in Greenville called Drug Free Greenville. And what we found out when we had that big group together is that we have got a lot of different people, a lot of different organizations, a lot of different entities that are moving in different ways, and they're all trying to work on this drug abuse problem, but there's not a centralized, concerted effort to do it. Because in that first meeting that we had and the subsequent meeting, we all kind of came to the realization that prevention of the problem in the first place was the best way to go. I've been in contact with the people that run Drug Free Greenville, and it's an organization, not-for-profit organization. It's been in place for about 22 years, and so they've got some longevity going on over there. And what they have done is, well, let me just take you like we have a week in October for drug-free awareness, drug-free Red Ribbon Week. They go out and they do it the whole month of October. They have monthly meetings where they're constantly feeding the prevention, the don't do it, the awareness training to all different segments of the city of Greenville, in the school district, and a lot of the other not-for-profits. And so what we've talked about, there's going to be some reorganization at the police department. We made a strategic decision here several years ago that took us away a little bit, not very much, away a little bit from street enforcement of drug sales to trying to concentrate on the people that were getting drugs into Paris. And that effort has met with success with a lot of federal indictments and a lot of arrests that way, but we're still not stemming the tide of drugs that are coming into Paris. So we're going to try to do this in kind of a two-pronged approach. We've already invited Ms. Benita Malone with Drug Free Greenville to come and visit with us, and we're hoping to get that big group back together to come meet with us and share her ideas of the strategy that's working for Drug Free Greenville. And then we're looking at trying to get back a squad of detectives that are going to be basically narcotics only. And so that's what we've kind of come up with, and that's where we're at. Any questions? Or
I'll start the questions. My first question is, how successful have they been in Greenville with this percentage-wise? I mean, did they decrease the percentage by 50%, 10%? What is it?
That's one of the problems that we all have in trying to gauge what's effective and what's not effective. Because the crimes that you're not arresting people for, you don't know if they're not happening or they're just getting away with it. And so it's really kind of hard to put an exact number or a percentage on whether or not you're doing well or not. If you were to give me 10 officers and say, get these 10 cops on the road, let's get some drug use curtailed, there would be more arrests. And once you start making more arrests, your crime report, your crime stats will actually increase because you're taking care of a problem that you knew was there, but you didn't see it because the statistics were not there. And so that's one of the issues with this type of a program. It's hard to put your thumb on exactly if you're doing any good or not. Now, my personal opinion is the more people that we're preventing from getting into the drugs in the first place is by far the best way to go. The more people that we can stop and put in jail that are trying to bring drugs into the community, it's going to give us a bump on our crime stats, but I think that will be something that can be seen.
And Mr. Hundley, I understand prevention, and I understand the statistics may look bad once you start catching people, and the crime rate may actually go up. did the crime rate go up in Greenville? Were there more arrests after they started the program, or I mean, how do we gauge that Greenville is the role model for us?
That's where we just like to talk with them a little bit more to find out, because right now, honestly, Doc, I don't know.
Okay. My second question to you is, and again, I don't remember the exact date, but maybe about a year or a year and a half ago, there was discussion of opening of a South Side police office at the depot, or
We're actually on the west side.
on the west side.
Right.
What is the status of that?
We're about ready to close it down because we absolutely have no one coming to it.
Okay. Now, where was this office? Because I've tried to drive around and see it. I haven't found it.
It's inside the depot, and it's in the offices with PEDC.
Right.
Is it manned all the time?
No,
Because
sir. We don't have the manpower to man it all the time. We were in it every Wednesday from 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. And when the officers were there, we put a little sign out in front of their yard there that the station was open.
do you think that if it was to be manned, because I mean, it may be that, you know, if it's open for a short period of time, maybe people don't come at that time.
Right.
If the manpower was available, do you think it would be beneficial to open it? I mean, have a South Side police office?
I don't really think it will be, and because of this. In our community, everybody is pretty well comfortable with picking up the phone and calling the police department, and you have a police officer at your door. So I think that's one of the reasons, even though we promoted it, tried to let everybody know where it was at and all that type of thing. We started off with few people coming by, and the longer we were there, it's just dropped off to we haven't had anybody there. In this type of what we're talking about on this issue on drug use, drugs are very difficult to investigate, and there's very little that a uniformed officer is going to be able to investigate as far as drug use goes.
And by the same token, if I can ask you one other question, and don't you feel if somebody calls and there's a police officer that shows at your doorstep who's uniformed and is in a police car, there's some reluctance of people to call because suddenly you notice a police car standing in front of your house?
You'll be surprised of how many people do just that, and you'd be surprised of how many tips that we come in on, like Crime Stoppers, which is totally anonymous. And the issues with drug sales is there may be a batch come in 10 minutes, and within the next hour it's gone. And so timing is the issue. But we have ways of people remaining anonymous that want to call in tips. We have people that have called in and said, so-and-so at this address is selling drugs. We've even got to the point, Mayor, that we'll walk, if we have somebody call in and say, they're selling drugs here, and we don't have any other way to try to investigate that, we walk up, knock on the door, and say, somebody said that you're selling drugs in here, do you mind if we look? And we've had people say, no, you're not looking, and we turn around and walk off. And we've had other people, no, come on in. And what's really astounding is we've had people say, come on in, and they've got drugs laying on the table. It's called a knock and talk, and it happens.
All right. Well, I appreciate your efforts, but I think if there's any way of speeding up the process, whether you're creating the squad or whatever you're doing, I'm not interfering in your job, but as a resident of the city, I would appreciate if something can be done at a speedier pace.
Yes, sir, we certainly will.
Mr. Wright.
I'd like to say, not because that's in my district, but it's a long way for the presence of an officer from Collegiate to West Paris.
Yes, sir.
And I'd appreciate some support in having a presence out there.
Well, I don't know how much y'all know about how we really operate, but once we have briefing.
I don't know how much anybody knows.
Okay. Well, now hold it. I didn't mean it that way. Don't take it that way. Sorry. I'm just talking about basic operations, but we have a briefing, and we have officers that are assigned to sections that are in part of your district and other districts on the west side of town. And once they get their briefing, they're out patrolling in those districts until they get calls or whatever. So it's not like, you have to always, there's gonna be times, totally agree with you, that you have a call for service and there'll be an officer that'll come from Clarksville Street. But we have sections over there that as soon as they get out of the station, they're supposed to be over on that side of town.
I mean, just the presence of a car, police car that is,
Yes, sir.
would seem to have a psychological effect.
I agree with you, it does.
And that doesn't run up your manpower too much.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jenkins.
I have no questions on it.
Ms. Lancaster?
I like having that presence there, and I visited that offices, those officers numerous times. And I really like having a visible police car over there.
Okay,
Dr. Grossnickel?
Just keep up the good work.
Yeah.
we'll keep trying.
And Ms. Drake?
Of course, I don't have any questions, but I do want to assure the council and the public that we are trying to move on this as fast as we can. Of course, with the holidays and everything being right in the middle of all this, it sort of slowed things down, trying to get people from Greenville to respond back to us. And this may not be the way we want to go, but we're just trying to gather as much information as quickly as we can so that we can make the best decisions for the citizens of Paris and to try to stop this growth.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to discuss this with the city manager and Chief Hunley later.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Handley.
Thank you.
Item number 18 is discuss and act on a resolution approving amendment to the Paris Economic Development Corporation tax abatement policy. Ms. Barentine is going to speak, but before she speaks, I do want to, though item is listed as an action item, I want to remind the council that there were two people appointed from the council towards this, and I don't think there have been meetings there that the council members were unaware of, so they did not attend those. And I would suggest that we should hear what Ms. Barentine has to say, but an action on this item should not be taken till such time that the two members who were appointed, which is Ms. Lancaster and Mr. Wright, come back and give their suggestions to the council. So with that said, Ms. Barentine.
Thank you, Mayor Hashmi and council. First of all, the Tax Abatement Committee has been meeting on the updates and revisions since August 13th of 2013. Numerous meetings amongst them, and also of the business community. A couple of meetings included the business community for their input on proposed changes to the tax abatement policy. So the actual committee that we have of record is the city manager, the county judge, Paris Junior College president, the PEDC director, and the Lamar County chief appraiser. So if Ms. Lancaster was overlooked, then I was not aware that.
We did appoint somebody, the two members to that committee, but the thing is, it's not a criticism, it's just that what I was saying was that those members need to be an integral part of it, so that they're just like when we did our infrastructure thing, that those members came back to us. I'd like those members to give their input and have their ability to give that input before a decision on this is made.
We weren't notified of the last meeting.
I was unaware that you were supposed to be notified. John Godwin, I need your support on this.
You're talking about for the meetings of the Tax Abatement Committee or the?
Tax Abatement Committee.
Yes.
I didn't know that either, so that must have happened when I was out, I guess. I mean, they've met
That is
several
possible.
times.
It is
Yeah,
possible.
they've met
you
several
might-
times.
Yeah.
Because
Well, it's no, I mean, there's no harm done. You can it'll just have to come back at another time for a final approval. But go ahead with your presentation, please.
Okay. What you have before you is a kind of a snapshot of some of the proposed changes from what was the Tax Abatement Committee, Tax Abatement Policy, and it has to be reviewed and revised every 2 years. So with that, we started in August and actually had some very good debates and input from other people. The minimum investment of the policy that is current is $250,000, and the proposed new policy makes that $1 million. The negotiated agreement has been changed from $10 million capital investment and 2.5 in annual payroll or 225 new jobs to be $25 million capital investment, 2.5 in annual payroll, and 225 jobs. The rest of that kind of stays the same, but the ad valorem tax for capital investment has been broken down in the table that I've provided you, and the amount of investment is broken down from $1 million to $5 million, with a span of 1 to 7 years, with 70% being the first year and 10% being the last year. $5 million to $20 million is 80% the first year and 80% the first year, 20% year 7. $20 million to $25 million is 90% year 1 down to 30% for year 7. The other option is if they have 10 new jobs minimum and the wages that are above the, let's see, the 2013 data is $41,158 annually. If they are that or above, then they can also ask for an additional tax abatement amount of 20%, but that not be in the first year. Because if you did that for someone who had 20 million to 25 million, that would make 110%, and we only use 100%. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. The other thing that was also discussed was personal property and how is that depreciated. And that has been amended and plugged into page 4 of the proposed policy that you got in your packets last week, I believe. So computer life, we talked to the appraisal district, and so computer life is 3 years. Furniture and fixtures is a 10-year life. Vehicles are 7 to 10 life, depending on the type, and the machinery and equipment is a 15-year life, and that's also could be longer or shorter, depending on the type. And that has never been, the personal property reference has never been put in there until now. So the next step is this morning at Commissioner's Court, the amended policy was adopted. So if council is going to, I guess, table this, then I think that the Paris Junior College is looking at having it on their agenda at their February regular meeting, which is the last Monday in February. So I think Dr. England would really appreciate the council being on board with this policy before she takes action for her board.
Thank you, Ms. Barrington. We haven't taken a vote, so we'll see whether council wants to table it or doesn't want to table it.
Right.
But that was just my suggestion.
Okay.
I want to make 2 comments on this, and if I can get some opinion from the chairperson of PEDC, who happens to be here, if you mind coming up just for a second. Thank you, Ms. Clifford. And Ms. Clifford, this is just my question, and I'm looking for some opinion from you on this. When we had discussions on this before, one of the questions which came up was the fact that while tax abatements are being done, would it be helpful to have the city manager, particularly since it relates to the city, to have the city manager and one of the council members available so that the city's issues are resolved at that time rather than bring it back to the council and see what happens at that point, and it creates confusion. So I was looking for advice from you. What is your feeling if in your discussions of PEDC, while tax abatements are being done, that the city manager and one of the council members be included in that?
I think it would be a very good idea because even though PEDC is involved, we cannot abate any taxes. So I think the people who are abating the taxes need to be involved from the beginning.
Okay. That was my first question. My next question to you is, we have discussed over the last months and months and months now PEDC's involvement of creation of manufacturing jobs, etc. What is your feeling that should PEDC be primarily involved in creation of manufacturing jobs and companies which are in existence, such as Campbell's is here, etc., that part of tax abatement should go directly to the city rather than PEDC itself? Am I making my question clear?
So the discussion would be with the city and not PEDC on the abatement?
On existing businesses. And again, I'm not trying to suggest we should do it or not do it. It is just a question in my mind that to have PEDC concentrate more on creation of manufacturing jobs that their involvement be more with creation of new jobs or new companies coming to town, and whatever is existing in the city at the time when abatements are sought, that go to the city manager and to the council rather than PEDC? Or would you like to stay involved in that?
The only time that their abatement is for additional, improvements to the property. And so if there's any growth in the company, I guess that's when they come to PEDC. But I believe that the city manager and the council would probably be more aware of that than even PEDC, and that's really up to the council.
Okay. So I take it that your feeling is it should kind of be left the way it is, but with the involvement of the city manager and the council member?
That would be probably my suggestion, is that it still be there, but because we need to coordinate if there's any incentives given for new job creation, that they be in consideration with the abatement, so that we're not abating and incentivizing, I guess it's the word, for the same amount of money spent, so that there's a coordination between the two.
Thank you so much for answering the question.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Wright, do you have any questions?
No question.
Mr. Jenkins?
No questions.
Ms. Lancaster?
No question.
Dr. Grossnickel?
No questions.
And Ms. Drake?
Not at this time.
So I want a little guidance from the council at this point. Personally, my feeling is that having Ms. Clifford answered that question, I would favor the fact that we should wait and let the two council members who were appointed to that to bring back to the council what their suggestions are, along with the fact that we include the city manager and one council member in the discussions on abatements, and add to that and then bring it back to the council. And if it means that we have to conduct another extra meeting just for PEDC to bring it back so that the PJC is not inconvenienced, that we do that. But that would be my suggestion to table, but I'm open to discussion.
Shannon, did you say that PJC meets the
last Monday,
we
so
would
it
have
would
two
not.
meetings before that?
Yes.
Yeah, it would be the last Monday of February.
Okay, thank you.
How does the council want to proceed? If there is no answer, I'll take
I would make the suggestion that the council had asked these two people to sit on the committee and to have some input. So my suggestion would be to table it at this time, have them have the opportunity to meet and discuss and make sure they're okay with it, and come back to the council and have it on either the next agenda if they can, or at least the second one in February. That would still give us time to pass this before PJC.
I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No, the motion carries. Thank you so much. And I also want to thank you and all members of PEDC board and whoever else has participated in these long discussions and meetings to bring about what has been already brought forward. Thank you again so much. Moving right along, item number 19 is discuss and act on a resolution approving an economic incentive agreement between the Paris Economic Development Council and Campbell Soup Supply Company. Ms. Barentine.
You have before you the memo that was presented, and because the incentive is over $400,000, we need council approval for the single-serve juice line, which is $25 million investment, 50 new jobs, and job retention. I believe that there are some people from Campbell Soup here that if you would like them to come up and
If
give an
anyone
input on
from
that.
Campbell Soup wants to speak, they're more than welcome to please come up.
Well, thank you very much. My name is Ray Oldak. I'm the Vice President of Manufacturing at our Campbell facility here in Paris, Texas. And I'd like to say a couple different things. I've been here a couple different times over the last year out there kind of begging and asking for some help with some of our projects we've had. But it's been very successful for everything we've done at this point in time. We saw a lot of really tremendous growth in our facility. And quite frankly, we have a very engaged and highly motivated workforce in the plant that we're all very proud of. This the single-serve line, which is the biggest piece of this investment. We're actually starting that line right now. We've been running it for about the last couple of months out there. And it's brought a whole new dimension of a product line into the facility that we didn't have before. And the way I view it from our plant standpoint, the more diversified we can get with the product mix that comes in here, the heavier anchor we have in here in the community out there. And I feel right now we're about as anchored as we've ever been in the community out there, with a very well-run operation, putting on a nice quality product and very productive out there. So your support has been duly noted by the company, with rewarding us with a lot of capital investment in the plant. And quite honestly, when we come into the projects and we talk to some of the folks who represents the city about some of the help out there, we've used almost all the funds out there just as a very intense training program for the people that are working on these new systems out there. It's very important from a quality standpoint and just from handling the process right, that the people are trained. And we never really did as good a job as we should have on that, and we're very committed to doing that. So the assistance that the City of Paris has given us has helped us leverage that ability to train people out there. And it's part of that whole motivation factor that we have in the plant right now. And when we bring these systems in there, they don't just always just come down to Paris. There's always kind of a little bit of a, not a bidding process, but it's kind of a, just kind of a jockeying back and forth on which facility in North America would move these things out there. So we've competed quite a bit with our North Carolina facility, our Ohio facility, our Canada facility, and even up in the state of Washington. And a couple of these projects out there, in my mind, from my view of it, and I have a pretty good view of it, would not have happened without the assistance of the city and the people who support us out there. So I thank you very much, and ask for your support one more time.
Thank you so much. Anyone wants to discuss this? No. Then I'll make a motion to approve.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming on to item number 20, discuss and provide direction to the staff on amendments to section 17-66 of the Code of Ordinances, smoking in prohibited places. At our last council meeting, we heard from several citizens as well as group of middle school students about the project, all of which has asked the council to consider updating this city smoking policy. I've already said as before that we will open this for the Citizens Forum at this time, and the council will discuss it after that. So anyone who wants to come and address this, they're welcome to come up to the podium, name and address, and speak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Council. My name is John Krunterod. I live at 4110 Alpine Street in Morningside. I'm glad I'm the first one to speak on the issue of the ban on smoking in the city, because I fear that I'm terribly outnumbered here this evening. I think there are a lot more people who would like to see that ban. I want to go on record as saying that I'm not a smoker, and I am not here to promote smoking, nor am I an advocate of tobacco. I'm here to oppose the proposed ban strictly for business purposes. The businesses in this town have many regulations imposed upon them already by the state, by the federal government, and certainly by the city. What they don't need to worry about another inspector coming through the door. They don't need to worry about if their signage is correct. They don't need to worry about if they have the forms filled out correctly. I would offer a alternative to this proposal, and the short-term alternative would be for those citizens who are opposed to smoking, and I'm strictly talking about in the private sector, in restaurants, in bars, not in the public places, but only in private places. In the short term, I would offer that those people who are opposed to smoking simply avoid those places. There are restaurants that are non-smoking because the business operator has made that choice. In the long term, I would say that those who are opposed to smoking ought not to be petitioning the council for relief and asking the council to impose upon the city a non-smoking policy. Rather, they should be arguing and petitioning the business owners, those people who allow smoking in their facilities, to be a non-smoking facility. The argument being that a good business person, if they believe that they can increase their profits and do better, garner more business, would certainly follow that policy. So again, short term, just avoid those places if you don't like the smell of smoke. Or the long term is, don't petition the council. Go to those businesses and ask them to impose a self-imposed non-smoking policy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Dr. Hashmi and the council, you know, I was here and presented a presentation regarding smoking.
That's Dr. McLemore.
Cessation, Dr. McLemore, yes. This isn't a matter of just business. This isn't a matter of a few citizens asking for this. This is a message from the Center for Disease Control, who is requesting that cities throughout the nation impose these new smoking regulations in their cities. And this isn't just for Paris. I mean, most of the cities in the state of Texas have already imposed these new smoking ordinances. And why are they doing this? I mean, why is the CDC interested in this? They're interested in it because it's one thing, you know, for smokers to affect their own health, but now there's so much information and data out there that cigarette smoking has tremendous detrimental effects on those around smokers, the secondary smoke. And this is what is so concerning. I'll give you an example. Lung cancer is the #1 cancer killer in the U.S. today. And the majority of those individuals, over 444,000 of those individuals, are dead because of cigarette smoking caused by lung cancer caused by cigarette smoking. Not only that, 53,000 of those individuals are non-smokers who've been exposed to secondary smoke and who die from the effects of secondary smoke. So we're not just talking about business economics here. We're talking about really an impact on everyone's health. Well, what other things do I have to offer? Well, for one thing, we now know that passive smoking is causing an increase in renal cancer, esophageal cancers, head and neck cancers, just to mention a few other cancers have now we've shown a correlation between those and exposure to passive smoke or secondary smoke. Not only that, there are a number of non-malignant diseases that have now been associated with passive exposure to smoke. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease will be the #1 killer of adults worldwide by 2030. And we know that at least 20 to 30% of those individuals will get chronic obstructive pulmonary disease just from exposure to secondary smoke. So again, we're not talking about something that's affecting just smokers. We're talking about the effects of secondary smoke on individuals who are passively exposed to these very noxious chemicals and compounds in cigarette smoke. Not only that, we know now that cardiovascular disease, atherosclerotic diseases, as well as cerebral vascular diseases and stroke are now related to passive smoke exposure as well. So all of these diseases are caused by exposure to passive smoke. More than that, we also know that asthma is on the increase in the U.S. today. And did you know that asthma is one of the only diseases that we see today where the mortality is on the increase? And we know that cigarette smoke is one of the major triggers for asthma. And we're not just talking about adults now, we're talking about children. We're talking about young children who are dying from asthma. And cigarette smoke, and not only the smoke itself, but the odor from the cigarette components that are attached to hair and to clothing trigger asthma in these individuals. And so this is something more than just economics here, and this is something more than just a few citizens interested in this. This is something that's of concern not only in the U.S. but worldwide now with regard to exposure to passive smoke. We know now that 50% of all smokers die from the effects of smoking, not just cancer, but non-cancer entities. We also know that there's $10 billion every year spent on medical bills, medical issues, treatment as a result of smoking. For these reasons, the CDC is making recommendations that we, as a city of Paris and all cities around the nation, make smoking in private workplaces, restaurants, and bars be banned. And that is their recommendation, and that is their rationale, because we know now that there are many effects from secondary smoking that are very worrisome. And I would just ask the council to take this into consideration. And I think we get an example of a city ordinance from, I believe it's Tyler or one other city who's already passed this. But most of the cities in Northeast Texas have already passed this type of ordinance.
Thank you, Dr. McLemore.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Clem, there is room to sit up front if you want to come and sit down. And the other EMTs who are standing, if they want to come and sit, they're more than welcome to come sit.
My name is Steve Ekstrom. I live at 725 Medalist Street in the city of Paris. I am pro-smoking. I'm pro-smoking because it takes the stupid people out. It thins out the population. They're the first to go. Unfortunately, it has a detrimental effect on the rest of us. And the thing that really bothers me, as I said earlier when I talked, that we've lived here 20 years and 2 months, my wife and I, and it's just so darn right embarrassing when people come to town and we go to a restaurant and they say, "You still smoke here?" I said, "Yeah, we're not that bright. We're just, I'm sorry, but we're just not that bright. Everybody else has banned smoking, but we haven't. I wish we would." Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ekstrom.
My name is Eric Roddy. I live at 3830 47th Northeast. I'm in Mayor Hashmi's district. I would like to speak, take it to 2 levels. Number one, I have 3 boys. Both have asthmatic type conditions, and we have to avoid places with smoking quite often when they're having symptoms. And I would just appreciate the opportunity to be able to take them and enjoy the different places we have in Paris. The second thing is I'd like to talk about, there's a lot of people that go out of town to go to the same type restaurants because they do not have smoking, and they enjoy those places, so we lose retail sales from that. And I would just encourage you to think about that. I also believe that I think it could be a huge positive from an economic development standpoint, from a growth in retail sales. I think it's something for the council to look at. Other communities, I kind of think we're behind the ball on this, and I would just ask for us to look at other communities that have adopted this ordinance and look at what it's done if the sales have grown. I think potentially restaurant owners may be hesitant right now to make a change to go non-smoking for the fear that they may go to down the road to another restaurant that has smoking. And so I think there's probably some fear potentially on the business owner's standpoint. I think that would be something to investigate to see how they would feel if it was universal and everyone was on the same playing field. So I think it also would potentially promote new people coming into Paris and help us as we try to bring in more people in our community to shop and bring in more sales tax for the community and the city. So anyway, I greatly appreciate your consideration in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roddy.
My name is Vicki Horn. I live at 215 33rd Southeast, Paris, Texas. I'm here to speak on the behalf of my neighbors as well as my family. I want you to know that I am very sensitive to cigarette smoke. It is one of the quickest ways that bring on a seizure. I have epilepsy, and I can usually tell you what brings on the seizures, and secondhand smoke is one of the quickest. I can smell the terrible odor in this room right now, and I have been fighting a seizure occasionally ever since I walked in that door. And it's not just me, but like I told you, there's my neighbors. Many of them once smoked, and they regret it. They have told me over and over again, I'm now regretting and I hate the smell of this stuff. That some of them are now fighting with COPD. Some have asthma. Some have bronchitis, and much of that was brought on because of cigarette smoke in their past. And they are now fighting the secondhand smoke worse than ever. And I, myself, personally, cannot go out and enjoy life to the fullest with my family, all because of stinking smokers. They don't give a hoot about themselves or others. And it is not right for them to have the freedom to tear up their life, to destroy their health, and at the same time destroy the health of others. Just because they don't give a hoot about themselves it is not, when we take their freedom away, that's just giving us the freedom to live. If they want to kill themselves, let them. But they can stay at home and inhale them in their own home. But it is not right to be taking life away from others. And I want you to please consider what's most important, your life of others, or money, which is more value to you. If you don't have life, you don't need money. And who doesn't need food to eat? I cannot get in and out of a grocery store. There is not one single grocery store in this town that I have been able to say that at all times I can always go in without fighting cigarette smoke because somebody is standing outside the door smoking. Walmart is one of them. Brookshire's, Kroger's. And who doesn't need food every once in a while? There's been doctor's offices. I've needed to go to the doctor and cannot get in safely because of somebody standing outside the doctor's office. Who has not had to ever go to the doctor in your single life? Not one single time. It is not right for me to have to stay at home and suffer because I cannot get to the doctor in time safely. So I'm asking you to please care about others and care enough to do something about it.
Thank you so much. Mr. Grubb, can I request that let the kids come up and then I'll give you
Absolutely.
a chance to
Thank
speak.
you. Good evening. I'm Deb Fleming. I'm a teacher at Crockett Intermediate School, and these are my students.
I'm Evan De La Garza. The U.S. Surgeon General's reports findings on smoking, secondhand smoke, and health. Since 1964, 34 separate U.S. Surgeon General's reports have been written to make the public aware of the health issues linked to tobacco and secondhand smoke.
Thank you.
The ongoing research used in these reports still supports the fact that tobacco and secondhand smoke are linked to serious health problems that could be prevented. The reports have highlighted many important findings on secondhand smoke.
I'm Kelly Striplin. Secondhand smoke causes cancer. Secondhand smoke is classified as a human-known carcinogen, cancer-causing agent by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the U.S. National Toxicology Program, and the International Agency for Research on Cancer. Tobacco smoke is a mixture of gases and particles. It contains more than 7,000 chemical compounds. More than 250 of these chemicals are known to be harmful, and at least 70 are known to cause cancer.
I'm James Miller. Babies and children exposed to secondhand smoke are at an increased risk of sudden infant death syndrome, upper respiratory and lung infections, ear infections, and more severe and frequent asthma attacks. Smoking by parents can cause wheezing, coughing, bronchitis, and pneumonia, and slow lung growth in their children.
I'm Brianna Rogers, and my grandfather died because he was a heavy smoker.
Hi, I'm Ben Laster. I don't have any facts, but I just want to say that after I play at Woodall Fields, and I hate it when I'm walking back from a game and I have to smell all that smoke.
I'm Sydney Walter. Smokeless users have an 80% higher risk of oral cancer and 60% higher risk of pancreatic and esophageal Cancer. Smokeless tobacco products can also increase the risk of fatal heart attack and stroke.
I'm Taylor White. Secondhand smoke immediately affects the heart, blood vessels, and blood circulation in a harmful way. Over time, it can cause heart disease, strokes, and heart attacks. Secondhand smoke also causes lung cancer in people who have never smoked. Even brief exposure can damage cells in ways that set the cancer process in motion. The Surgeon General estimates that living with a smoker increases the chance of getting lung cancer by 20 to 30%.
I'm Caitlin Hutchins. Secondhand smoke has been linked to lung cancer. There is also some evidence suggesting it might be linked to lymphonia, leukemia, and brain tumors in children, and cancers of the larynx, voice box, pharynx, throat, nasal sinuses, brain, bladder, rectum, stomach, and breast in adults.
I'm Austin Whitaker, and secondhand smoke can cause disease in children and adults who don't smoke, and can also kill children and adults who don't smoke.
Hello, I am Wesley Tidwell. There is no safe level of exposure to secondhand smoke. Any exposure is harmful. Many millions of Americans, both children and adults, are still exposed to secondhand smoke in their homes and workplaces despite a great deal of progress in tobacco control. In fact, almost half non-smokers and more than 60% of children in the U.S. continue to be exposed, according to the Surgeon General. On average, children are exposed to more secondhand smoke than the non-smoking adults.
Hello, I'm Gavin Holge, and tobacco use accounts for nearly 1 in 3 cancer deaths. Tens of thousands of women will die this year from lung cancer, which has shot past breast cancer as the leading cause of cancer death in women. About 87% of lung cancer deaths will be caused by smoking. Not only does smoking increase the risk for lung cancer, it's also a risk factor for cancers of the mouth, the voice box, the throat, nose and sinuses, lips, swallowing tube, kidney, cervix, bladder, pancreas, stomach. What is that? Just say colon. Okay, and colon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming. Mr. Grubbs.
Steve Grubbs, 2365 Wildwood Lane. As a resident, a business leader, a healthcare worker in our community, I feel like it's our right and our responsibility to protect the health and wellness of our community's citizens and residents. And I don't know about you, but I'm just proud and I'm humbled that our younger residents have brought this ordinance before our city council. Working in healthcare, we have long since banned smoking in our institution. It's just the right thing to do. You've heard the facts tonight. You've heard many facts. You've heard Dr. McLemore tell you his personal knowledge and the science behind the dangers of smoking. And you've heard many other residents talk about how it's impacting our community in such a negative way. So I just ask you tonight, and I beg you tonight to consider those facts and do the right thing. Do the right thing to protect the health and the wellness of our community citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm Ed Clark. I live at 3160 Allen, and I'm a pediatrician. I've been in practice here for 34 years, and I think the kids stole all my thunder, all my facts. So, but nevertheless, to say I think there was one in there that said there is no safe level of secondhand smoke, and that's true. It can set off very easily kids with asthma most prominently, but there's increased risk from otitis, from ear infections, just colds and leading to pneumonia, but especially asthma is a big problem that we need to try to avoid that exposure. In terms of having it work, I think there are a lot of people that would go to restaurants that were smoke-free and would not hurt the folks' business. And I just give two examples of places I know have changed in my last 30-plus years here. One of those was schools, when they used to allow smoking in the teacher's lounge. I can remember going to the sports physicals in the spring, and the coaches would be in the back smoking. And you just couldn't believe it went on, but you know, obviously they've gotten rid of that. It's become unacceptable for them to do it too. Our hospital used to be able to smoke anywhere. I mean, you can walk into a nurse's station because there would be so much cigarette smoke. And they've been able to do without that and make that change. And I can remember when the chairman of the board said his wife would not come to that hospital if we wouldn't let her smoke. Well, it happened, and she came to the hospital, and you know, it's worked. So I would just say, just remember that there's no safe level of secondhand smoke, that there are many people that should not be exposed to that, especially many children. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
I am A.W. Clem, 2980 Hubbard. I have been a severe asthmatic since I was 2.5 years old, and fresh air is very important to me, and I wanted you to be aware that there are a group of us that suffer severely by the conditions in some of these restaurants and places. The Moore Law Firm is no longer is no longer with smoke in it. It's smoke-free, and I would ask you all to seriously consider Ted's recommendations tonight. Thank you very much.
Did you bring the car keys?
What you all don't know is that Dr. Ashby lusts after my Mini. So anyway, my name's Celeste Wilcox. I live at 4400 Smallwood Road, and I am a medical oncologist here at Texas Oncology. Thankfully, the children and Dr. McLemore have already spoken and taken my thunder with all the facts and figures, because that's part of what I was going to tell you is about how devastating smoking is. Obviously, this ordinance is not about limiting people's individual decision to smoke and potentially ruin their health. People still have the right to do that in their home. This is about protecting the environment for everyone else who chooses not to be a smoker. Secondhand smoke does contribute to lung cancer risk. Yesterday was the 5th anniversary of my father's death. He died of non-small cell lung cancer. He was a lifelong non-smoker. His parents never smoked. He was exposed to carcinogens in his work environment. And so it's something that I think, you know, we think it's something that's, you know, okay, you're just going to a restaurant and you're just there in those few minutes, but it's actually, it adds up over time, and especially also for people who work in those environments. And so I hope that you will give consideration to this. There have been several things that have been said, you know, it's better not to start than to try to give something up. And, you know, certainly change is difficult, but I think that I have friends that come in from out of state, and they're just amazed at how quaint we are with our restaurants where we have all these smokers. So I hope you give consideration to this. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Aubrey Gibbs. I live at 3065 Mahaffey in Johnson Woods, and I am a pediatrician here. Been practicing for 3 years, and I commend the Socrates kids for doing a great job. I just had 2 quick points that I wanted to make. Secondhand smoke is dangerous, but so is side stream smoke, and that is what does not get filtered through the cigarette, what's just coming out of the end of the cigarette, and that's what usually hangs about in rooms, and so that's what our kids are breathing in. The American Academy of Pediatrics stands behind smoking bans in restaurants and public places, and they actually have great information on their website about ways to enact that in towns. And so it's not a local issue, it's a national issue. It is something we're behind the times on. One of the articles I read on their website said that a child in a very smoky room for 1 hour with several smokers inhales as many bad chemicals as he would by actually smoking 10 or more cigarettes, and that's just not fair. I've made a career out of advocating for the lives of children, and they're not allowed to choose which restaurants their parents take them to, and many people in this community don't have the resources to eat out at restaurants that there may not be that that they don't allow smoking at. And so we need to advocate for the children and allow them to play baseball and exercise and not have to walk through smokers on the way to the dugout. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gibbs.
My name's Dr. Motter. I've been here a year. I'm a heart surgeon in town, and I live behind Walmart. So what I do is I hold my breath during that until I can get to the door. But what I'd like to say is during the Beijing Olympics, the communists wanted to clean things up, put on a pretty face, so they shut down the factories. They took the cars off the road. They drew people's blood during that time, and then after the Paralympics, they drew it again. What they found was their blood was clottier, and they had more inflammatory markers, all things that cause heart attack, stroke, whatnot. So you just have to know you can't see those things. They're out there, okay? Our students told us there's 250 toxic chemicals. There's viruses too. And so formaldehyde, cyanide, arsenic, benzene. I can't name the others. So secondhand smoke, let's do an experiment. Let's have a box. It can be a car with the kids in it. It can be an office, a room. So let's put the smoker in there and the non-smoker. An ordinance will keep secondhand smokers from hurting the children and the non-smokers inside the box. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Ann Normand, and I live at 805 42nd Street, Southeastern Paris. I have absolutely no scientific knowledge to give you tonight. I believe all that we have heard, and we've heard enough. I came only to support the young children who were worked so hard to do this and to say that I approve of what they do. And at this time, I would like for everyone in this building who came tonight to support them to please stand and let the council see the number here who support the change in the ordinance.
Thank you.
My name is Jim Neeland. I live at 2940 Briarwood. I had no intention of speaking tonight. But for those of you who said smokers were stupid ones, were the dumb ones, or whatever, my dad started smoking at the age of 12. Twice he tried to quit smoking, had nervous breakdowns. Doctor says stop smoking or you'll die with a heart attack. My dad could not stop smoking. He died of a heart attack. That has nothing to do with the trying to get rid of smoking in restaurants. But folks, I wouldn't be surprised if people could get addicted to smoking simply by breathing all of that smoke. We've got to do something, and this is the beginning.
Thank you very much. Dr. Graves, are you coming up to talk?
I am.
Okay.
I kind of would like to, well, I'm Steve Graves. I'm a physician here, and I live at 3040 Aspen Drive. And sitting here and listening to all this, I think one of the things that we have to be careful of with science now is that making too big a leap. There's no question that cigarette smoking is very harmful to the people that smoke. No question whatsoever. I read the Surgeon General's report, their most recent report today, and when you look at it from a scientific viewpoint, they said cigarettes are really bad. Side stream smoke, which is what Dr. Gibbs was talking about, and the secondhand smoke are also, those are the same. There's no qualitative difference between the smoke that the smoker takes into his lungs and the smoke that the passive smoker gets. Again, we don't know the dose, so the amount that the passive smoker gets. So we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves and say, because this person has it, all the people that get maybe a minuscule exposure to it will also get these diseases. We actually don't know that information. To say it's proven science, I mean, intuitively it sounds right. They don't really know. But I think the bigger picture here, there's a civil liberties picture where do we impose our will on the other people? And I think all of us would agree that when your rights stop where the next person starts. But the bigger picture is, and I think the most important is, it shouldn't start and stop with a city ordinance. I think what actually needs to be done is to push for a national, basically classifying tobacco as a dangerous drug and de-legalizing tobacco. There's no safe level of tobacco use. It is horribly addictive. I had the privilege many years ago, the guy that they did the movie about the guy that worked for Philip Morris that did the tobacco research. He came to Paris and spoke here. He was working on rats in his lab. They had a choice between pushing a lever that would squirt nicotine into their brain or getting food, and they wore out the button for the nicotine. It takes less than a second for nicotine that you breathe into your lungs get to your brain. It's more addictive than heroin, crack cocaine, any other substance. And it's been deliberately manipulated to increase the addictive power of the cigarettes. Why, as a country, if it's such an important health issue, why do we even allow that product? I mean, it's crazy. So I think, regardless of what happens with our ordinance here, I think if we really want to make the big difference as we carry this forward and go up the chain, get rid of the stuff. Thanks.
I'm Amanda Green. I just had 3 areas I wanted to touch on. One was a survey was performed. Transforming North Texas group has been working on improving the health overall in Paris, and this is just one arm of what we wanted to do. And we surveyed the Chamber of Commerce members. We asked would they be in support of a smoking policy for public places within the Paris, Texas area with a stronger non-smoking policy. 71% agreed with this statement of the Chamber of Commerce members. So I think that we have found that we do have a majority of citizens who would like to see a stronger anti-smoking ordinance in Paris. I wanted to touch on quickly the public health part of this. We don't want to restrict people's rights, of course, but sometimes we do make rules such as food safety and fire extinguishers. And of course, y'all are the body that helps do that. And in terms of enforcement, I know that's always a concern for y'all as y'all are in charge of the police as well. And there is mention of enforcement in the ordinance. We have been involved with the enforcement officers, and while sometimes there is an increase in the work and cost in enforcing these things, usually after the first few months, the community gets used to that, and any cost or extra time is much better after that. In terms of, I appreciate the gentleman that spoke about his father, and of course this is, we're all speaking and kind of making light of how important this is, but in a compassionate mode, we don't necessarily want to say smokers, too bad for you. The health department has started a smoking clinic to help people that want to stop smoking, so we do have that support available as well. And I appreciate y'all thinking about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Green.
My name is Jeff Martin. I live in Sumner, Texas, so I'm hoping y'all will allow me to speak since I own 5 restaurants here in town inside the city limits. All 5 of my restaurants do not allow smoking, and to the contrary of what some of these people that do own restaurants may be worrying about, if I were to allow smoking, it would be detrimental to my business instead of the other way around. So you may ask, what dog do I have in this fight? My mother, when I was 2 years old, contracted asthma, severe asthma. It's been a chronic disease for 20, 30 years. And with people like that, they're allergic to certain things, cigarette smoke being one of them. And she's not just the type of asthmatic that has to carry a puffer around. We're talking about when she has an attack, being rushed to the hospital, epinephrine shots, being intubated. And through my life, she has not been able to go to some of these restaurants that do allow it, and that's not fair to those people. It's a disability for them, and I know that we restaurant owners would like to think it's a private place, but it's really not. It's a public place, and just like we have to comply to ADA standards for bathrooms and stuff for people who have to have that, all people with illnesses should be able to go in any public restaurant and partake in that. Other than that, I'm also very concerned about visitors in town and the level of tourism and what it means to restaurants in Paris. It is a huge part of our business. Most people in Paris don't understand how much tourism we do have. And I hear in my restaurants a lot of those people referring to Paris as basically back in the Stone Age, because we're one of the only towns of this size that still allow this. And of course they come to my place because they won't go to the other places. But I worry about what kind of impact that could have on future tourism as we try to find other things that could potentially come here and help the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Mr. Banks.
Thanks. My name is Ray Banks. Live at 3450 Robin Road, Paris, Texas. Fortunately, I was able to quit smoking 14 years ago, and I've been thankful ever since. But this past December, I was diagnosed with a bladder cancer. And in my research, one of the symptoms or one of the causes of bladder cancer is smoking. I had never realized that. I always thought the lungs, respiratory, but it affects your entire body. So I said, I'm a living example of that. I'm not proud of it, but that's what happened. Also, about the restaurants that do allow smoking, the family that's traveling through town, going to visit grandmother wherever, and they stop at a restaurant, and they go in not knowing it's a smoking restaurant. Because we here in town know which restaurants do and do not allow smoking. So we can guide ourselves away from those. But those who are traveling the public, going to see grandmother, do not know. They go into our restaurant, they sit down, they order their food, and then all of a sudden, the next booth or the next table, someone comes in and lights up a cigarette. That ruins that family's entire presence here in Paris. They have a bad experience of it. They will tell all their relatives and their friends of that, to stay away from Paris. Also, one of the gentlemen said, those of us who want to stop the restaurants from having smoking, we should petition those restaurants. A restaurant owner is not going to listen to non-customers. You know, I mean, if I had a business, I wouldn't listen to somebody that didn't patronize me. And I think that's the way they would be. But I think a lot of them will understand that their business will not go down, it will actually increase. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Banks. Shannon, are you speaking?
No, sir, I'm leaving.
Okay. You're not going to go out to smoke, are you? I don't know whether she smokes or she doesn't. Anybody else wanting to speak?
My name is Rick Spann at 925 Cope Drive from the Fighting Seventh. I wasn't intending on speaking tonight, but after hearing some of the argument, I thought I might want to just throw something in there for consideration. I want to say that I'm not a smoker. I really don't like it if I go to an establishment, some guy fires up a cigarette next to me. That forces me to move, and I don't like moving when I'm eating. I don't. I like to sit down. But I don't know that the issue is necessarily about smoking. I see that more as a property rights issue. And as hopefully a future business owner in Lamar County, I would like the right to choose whether or not I allow smoking in my establishment. I noticed some of the language that was here tonight. I hear a lot of people saying, we don't want to impose this, or we want to impose this, but we feel we should impose this. Where, I apologize, I don't know where you're sitting and I don't know your name. You, sir. He was using the word choice. He said people choose to come to my establishment because they don't want to go somewhere that allows smoking. And I think that's basically kind of what it comes down to. I'm not here saying smoking's not bad for you, and I'll support any decision that you make, but I look at that more as a property rights issue, because once you say that a business can or can't do this, it's a very easy step to move on to the next thing. Well, now you can't do this. Now you can't do this, and now you can't do the next thing. Until, I think as the first speaker that was here said, you're so regulated that you have an inspector coming to your business every other day of the week. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Mr. Span.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sherry Scott. I live at 3220 Abbott Lane. And I'm here to comment on what the last gentleman said, that I would like to impose ban on cigarette smoking for the very reason that Dr. Aubrey Gibbs talked about, the unspoken among us, and those are the children. I'm a pediatrician. And one of the most frustrating aspects of treating children is they have no say-so in their surrounding environment. And people do not understand, when we say asthma, so many people have asthma that seems to be a common, let's not talk about lung cancer or renal cancer, let's talk about asthma. Children still die from asthma. It is very common, but many people do not understand the severity of the treatment that asthma sometimes commands. We're talking about a hospitalization, IV tubes. Many times, children here have to be transported to Dallas because we don't have the unit to support them. So you're talking about continuous nebulizations that cause tachycardia as part of the side effect of their treatments, numerous drips. It's a very expensive, costly process, and this can happen like a revolving door when adults around these children do not listen. I've personally had to deal with this situation. So if we are a community that wants to do the best for our children, we honor these children that stood here and did their own research, I think we have to stand behind them and stand behind our words. Are we really committed to the health and welfare of our children and providing them a better environment all around? They do not have the voice. I think we should stand up for them.
Thank you.
My name is Randy Hutchins. I live at 6065 County Road 42600. I remember when I was in high school about 19, 20 years ago, something like this came up before the city council. Something was done. There was an ordinance where you had to be within so many feet of the door to a business where you could smoke. That's not enough. My child was one who spoke. I don't want them to have to see a future where they can't breathe. I've never thought about it much until I started working at a pulmonary clinic. I see people who come in who have never smoked, and while I'm doing testing on them, they tell me their stories. They have half the lung, they have partial lung, and they have never, ever smoked. It's time that we get in the 21st century and we protect our citizens. We shouldn't have to worry about our health when we go out to eat. It is for the health of our city. The future of our city has nothing to do with monetary gain or loss. If we don't have people here living, we don't have a city. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchins.
Hello, I'm Sissy Grubbs, and I live at 2365 Wildwood Lane. And I just want to tell you kids, I'm real proud of you for the facts that you've shared with our wonderful council here. You've heard a lot of facts, and now it's time to do the right thing. And you've been elected to represent each one of the districts that's put you in those seats. And I'm asking you to pray about it and do the right thing.
If that's it, then I'm going to close the Citizens Forum. I'm not missing anyone? No, I'm not. Okay, so the Citizens Forum, as far as this matter is considered, is closed. I'm going to ask each of the council members to give their opinion. I'd just like to say a couple of quick words, and that is, number one, that obviously I'm a non-smoker, and that's what I preach. I do, however, also acknowledge the fact that as Texans, we don't like to be told constantly of what our government should do and not do. But having said that, I favor the fact that smoking needs to be curtailed. And the way the agenda item is posted today, it doesn't give us the authority to take action on this item today. And as such, what we will do is we will post it again so that it becomes an actionable item, and then bring it back to the council for their opinion and their action. Again, as I said, there was a little bit of confusion in the writing of the agenda item, and we cannot deviate from them, and I understand all of you want it done as quickly as possible, and hopefully the council will take action as far as that is concerned. But for today's meeting, this item is not an action item. So with that said, Ms. Drake, your opinion.
I've enjoyed listening to everyone speak today. And Ms. Grubbs, you're right. Y'all elected us to do the right thing. And I appreciate you saying that. I also understand where businesses are coming from and some of the concerns that spoke against it. But myself, personally, again, I'm not a smoker. I have never been a smoker. My husband smoked for many years. His family smoked for many years, but they all quit. Yes, we can choose where we go to eat, but I would like to see the city go forward.
Thank you very much. Dr. Grossnickel.
As a physician too, I know the hazards of smoking, and I appreciate everyone bringing their facts tonight, because they are, there's no doubt in anyone's mind that cigarette smoking is one of the most dangerous legalized forms of abuse that a person can inflict upon themselves. And I agree with Dr. Gray. Somewhere down the line, I hope that the United States of America will ban cigarettes. And then, there'll be some black market trade going on, but eventually it would eventually probably make it much, much more harder to smoke. I'd hate to see our children still, teenagers have a way of wanting to do things that sometimes they shouldn't, and they may find smoking glamorous. And the less of that they see in our city, the less likely they are to be tempted to try something such as that. The private rights, I think we have to look out. It's not just the business owner who has the right to set policy, but he needs to look out for his employees. And we need to think of the people who don't have a choice. They find, a job where they can find it. And unfortunately, their workplace may be filled with smoke. And yet they don't have an option. That's their job. They have to take the paycheck home. And they can't just quit because they don't want to be around smoke. So I think that really we need to look at that and balance that against the business's right to allow smoking. I know that we all wish we had no restrictions, but in medicine we're getting more and more intrusion of various entities, and that's just part of life today. So one last little item pertaining to one other fact of hazards of smoking, and that is that macular degeneration, which is a all too prevalent disease that we're seeing more and more of. That's another disease that smoking is a big risk factor for. So I'm in favor of getting a much stricter policy, and I've also been out at Woodall Field where one smoker can light up a cigarette, and he doesn't realize that it pollutes 50-yard square area of territory, and everybody's having to walk through it. So we need to do a more restrictive ordinance, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ray.
Well, I'm coming from having a mother who chain smoked my entire life, and I suffered with asthma greatly and a lot of effects from it. Luckily, she just quit. But from the age of, well, I was 5 years old with my first pneumonia. So I suffered quite a lot. She didn't understand, and she still doesn't understand, what an effect it had on my health all my life. I probably have gotten clearer in the last 5 years, so it's taken that long for me to overcome some of the effects of what she did, not intentionally. But I'm very, very sensitive to smoke. If somebody is outside of a restaurant, I do the very best I can to avoid it, and I cannot frequent a place where there is smoking. So there are many restaurants that I know that I can't go to. So I'm supportive of going forward with control of secondhand smoke, because I'm very aware of how dangerous it is.
Mr. Jenkins.
Appreciate everybody's response and everything. I think this is kind of bigger than the city of Paris, Texas. I would like to see it be nationwide myself. And I just hope the council can get together and make a quick response.
Thank you.
We've heard a lot of different facts and a lot of different opinions. I respect a person's rights as a business owner. I personally am a reformed smoker 40 years ago. I learned better, and I support the fact that it is a problem, and I think that we should do something to correct it.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. And again, I want to thank everyone who came and took time out for that. I also want to thank the one gentleman who had the courage to speak against it. It is a courageous thing when you have an audience this big. But anyway, thank you, and Mr. Span, you too, for voicing your concerns. And what I would like to say is that so that we are legally right, and in doing, the council has been transparent throughout its course. The council is always willing to listen to the concerns of the community, and what I would like to do is to place it on the agenda for next time as a public hearing, so that others who have not spoken, who didn't come today by chance, that they didn't feel that this was a public hearing, that they are given a chance to speak. Okay. But after that, I would put it as an action item at that point, so that an action can be taken. With that said, anyone else wants to have any comments on this? Is it okay with everyone to put it as a public hearing for the next time? Yes. Okay. And again, for the people who have come to speak, please speak today. Please don't take it as that we are trying to delay this or anything. This is a technical aspect that we cannot vary from the agenda the way it's posted. Next is item number 21, and I'm just debating whether we should do this again today or not. No, we will do it today, don't worry. What I would do is, since there are a lot of people, I'm going to take a 5-minute break so that people can get comfortable. All right, we will reconvene. I didn't have the courage of asking if there were any smokers here. Yes. All right, moving right along. Item number 21, receive and discuss annual report and plans for the fire department. I need a motion to untable the item.
I make a motion, we remove it.
Remove? Untable it, you mean?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Yeah. The item is untabled. So please, Mr. Wright, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I didn't think I was ever going to get up here. And I understand Mr. Anderson is timing me. So,
yes, he is. It's not just him. And I have the control to the mic. It says chairman's override.
Let me start off with a little trivia. Since 1908, there's been 13 firefighters, including myself, or fire chiefs, including myself, for the city of Paris. And I'm the first one that's been brought in from the outside. The rest of them were promoted from the ranks, which leads to something else. If you picture a person going to Commerce A&M and getting their undergraduate, their graduate, and then their PhD, and teaching at A&M, they have very little insight of other areas of the country or other schools or school of thought. So from that perspective, I thought since I've been here a year that I would come and kind of give you an outside perspective of what I've seen of the Paris Fire Department since I've been here. Some good, some bad, and just give you an idea of what I've seen. So I'll start off. Currently, the fire department has a staff of 51 certified firefighters, 48 of which are assigned to a shift. There are 3 stations. Station 1 has an engine staff of 4 firefighters, a rescue staff by at least 1 firefighter, and the deputy chief who runs the shift. The station is also unmanned aerial device. It's in the station, but it's completely unmanned. We have no staff assigned to it. Station 3 has 1 engine and 4 personnel on it. Station 4 also has 1 engine and 4 personnel, and we always have, regardless of the time of the day or whatever, we have a minimum staffing of 14 on duty at any time. I've observed the age of the apparatus since I've been here. The apparatus, y'all were gracious enough to get a new fire engine last year, bought a new fire engine and rescue. But an apparatus is a big factor of reliability for response. We currently have a new engine at Station 1, along with a new rescue vehicle. However, the other engines, aerial and the reserve, have reached the end of their frontline status and they're really close to their lifespan. It's important that the fleet be evaluated and rotated on a 10-year cycle to ensure the response is not compromised and maintenance factors do not come into play. The engine at Station 3 is 16 years old. It was bought in 1998. The engine at Station 4 is also 16 years old, 1998 model. Our reserve engine is 18 years old and was bought in 1996. And the ladder truck is 18 years old, bought the same year. You can see the pattern here where the city of Paris has gone through a process where they've bought multiple pieces of apparatus and they're all wearing out at the same time. And the normal process is to stagger those pieces of equipment purchase so that you can replace them on a staggered basis.
Mr. Wright, are you telling us that since we have just bought equipment last year, we shouldn't buy anything for the next few years? Stagger it?
No, that's not what I'm saying. Just like police cars and ambulances, you replace police cars every year, and you also have to replace ambulances. You've got to look at the big picture on fire apparatus. They are very expensive, and you've got to look down the road to determine when it's feasible to buy one. Unfortunately, because of the cost of these big pieces of equipment, it's hard to swallow when it comes to buying fire trucks. It's eased up in the last few years. In my experience as fire chief in the other cities, we've been able to finance these vehicles over a 10-year period, which makes it more palatable at budget time. You just make a payment, you just budget a payment, and at the end of the 10 years, the fire truck is paid for. And obviously you have a little interest involved, but it doesn't cause the city council to have to make a decision on a $550,000 fire truck and come up with that kind of money all at one time. Fire station location is a key to meeting response times necessary to mitigate emergencies. In 2008, Fire Station 2 on the east side was shut down as a result of constraints on the budget and to realign manpower. Our ISO rating, and I'm sure you're aware about the ISO rating, we're ISO 3. It was based on 4 fire stations. And it affects the insurance rates of not only homeowners but business owners. We're rated approximately every 10 years for ISO. We were rated in 2003. We're due for another. I've been contacted by ISO, but I haven't set up any kind of schedule for them to come in and rate us. I'm concerned that if we are rated, that possibly our ISO rating could go back down because of the loss of the fire station and manpower at that side of town. We have a big void on the eastern side of Paris as far as response times. Because of the shutdown of that fire station, we respond from the North Main fire station to that area. With the growth that's going on over there, it concerns me that, that we do have some long response times to that side of town. I think it's important that the city council and me and the city manager look at the possibility of sometime down the road reopening that station to the fire department, maybe cohabitating with EMS that's over there now, and adding staff to man a piece of apparatus on that side of town. Let's see, I'm sorry, apologize. The next thing I want to discuss is firefighter retention. It's an ongoing problem in the fire department as well as the police department. In the past 5 to 6 years, the fire department has lost most of its mid-level personnel who were the backbone of the department. We currently have a young and inexperienced workforce as a majority of personnel. The reason expressed by all in their exit interviews is the pay. While most of the firefighters have grown up locally and would like to stay in Paris, they have been backed into a corner economically. They realize that Paris cannot compete with a Metroplex pay, but even compared to surrounding communities our size, we're well below what is being paid. A first-year firefighter here makes the same amount of money as a 28-year firefighter here. There's no difference in pay. There's no built-in incentive for them to promote or commit to specialized training. There's not a sufficient gap in pay between the ranks. This will have to be addressed or will continue being a training ground for other departments. The requirements placed on the fire department as far as the variety of responses are sometimes overwhelming. True, we were created to fight fire, but the departments across the country have morphed into an all-hazard response, which includes, among many things, confined space rescue, high-angle rescue, hazardous materials, response to water emergencies, medical emergencies, and extrication. All of these require specialized training and equipment and a continued flow of training and practice. The public expects us to mitigate any issue they have, and we as a fire department have to be prepared to answer that expectation. To that end, the cost of doing business is much more than it was 30 years ago when the fire department only answered fire calls. Traditionally, the focus of risk management was the identification of fire hazards and planning and appropriate suppression response. Today, hazard or risk assessment goes well beyond the fire problem to medical and other emergencies. In light of this change, an assessment of a wide array of hazards, risk levels with an adverse event and resources needs to be evaluated. The outcomes of this assessment should take into consideration firefighter injury or death, civilian injury or death, and property loss. It has to be considered the human, economic, psychological, and functional impacts on the community. In other words, we have to look at it in a holistic approach throughout the community. Identification of community hazards are based on a mixture of demographics, socioeconomic factors, and the level of current service. 3 areas that are identified in assessment are property, life, and critical infrastructure. Matching resources to risk involves identification and plan for timely and sufficient coverage for all hazards. This is referred to as a standard response coverage. That is to say, the resources distribution is based on geography and travel time to the emergency. The fire department is driven by the National Fire Protection Association standards, particularly 1710, which defines necessary response and resources needed to mitigate an emergency. In other words, how many boots can you get on the ground at the fire scene in the shortest amount of time? The department operational performance is a function of 3 considerations: resource availability, reliability, and department capability and overall department effectiveness. Department capability is having the specialized equipment necessary to carry out a mitigation of the call, and finally, effectiveness is based on the specialized training necessary to handle the all hazards approach. I'm going to give you just a little information, and I'm going to wrap this up. Flashover is a phenomenon that firefighters deal with all the time. It's a significant event when a fire escalates from an incipient stage to the point where we lose control of it as far as an offensive approach. Preventing the superheated gases from reaching the ignition point of an instantaneous combustion is a factor in establishing resource needs. In other words, if we get there quick enough, we're able to keep it in the incipient stage and prevent the flashover. Once flashover is reached, we've lost the structure. It's not just a fact to get the fire truck and crew to the fire scene, but it's necessary to be able to deploy those resources in a timely manner. Once the flashover is met, success in preventing a total loss of structure diminishes dramatically. The effective response force is defined as the minimum number of firefighters and equipment which must reach a specific emergency within a maximum prescribed travel time. The fire department response capability and capacity is a function of the community's resource allocation and determine the vulnerability of a community. As a best practice, the fire department falls back on that NFPA 1710 for guidelines to decrease our community's responsibility. Training, I mentioned, is high priority. Equipment reliability is paramount. Because of the size of the equipment and the stress under which they operate, it's important that it be evaluated on a regular basis. Current fire department has 2 fire trucks and an aerial device which should be replaced. And finally, the last point I want to make, as mentioned throughout the presentation, NFPA 1710 guides us all regarding fire station location, manpower, personnel distribution through cities. Those cities do not have an unlimited supply of funds. It's important to strive towards the goals of decreasing our vulnerability through implementation of NFPA 1710. I do want to mention that we do have one fire station on the west side of Paris that was built in 1966. We have this much clearance from the front bumper to the door and this much bumper or clearance from the back step to the door. It was designed to fit a smaller fire truck in 1966. The lifespan of a fire station is 30 years. It's outlived its life. And we've got to consider that along with equipment, manpower, pay. All those factors fit into the vulnerability of the community. Appreciate y'all listening to me tonight. Any questions?
Yes. Mr. Wright, first of all, thank you for presenting. Personally, I'd like to see a prioritized list of out of the things that you have said, whether it's training, whether it's equipment, whether it's payroll. Where do you stand on each one of them? Which is the highest priority? Which is the second priority? Which is the third priority? I'm happy that you've presented, and I'm happy there is an outlook, and I'm happy that you're planning for the future. Realizing that I will have to say that not everything can get done in one go.
Right.
So I would like to prioritize that, this is the most important thing for me. If you feel that retention of staff is the most important and that is an issue, then that needs to be brought up first before anything else. As far as buying trucks is concerned, I think I was a proponent of it. Gene was the city manager at that time. I think that's when we started replacing, and I think we replaced 2 trucks, and then we had 2 other, one donated and one something or the other came about. So I'm supportive of that. I'm a little bit opposed to the way of buying it, though. I personally would rather save the city's money on interest. If we have the money, we should buy it and be done with it. Yes, it may be a bigger upfront expense, but I would not like to carry over for 10 years, yet another council comes and, they're still paying what I said okay to or what I voted for. So, yes, it may be a little hard to swallow that, immediately, but I'm not in favor of leasing for 10 years and then paying it at the end of 10 years, etc. It just puts the issue off. It doesn't eliminate the fact that the amount of money that you have to spend, you still have to spend or more.
Right, I understand that.
And so if I'm going to say yes to something, I'm not saying I'm saying yes or no right now, but what I'm saying is if I'm going to say yes to it, I'd rather you just pay for it and be done with it. But again, what I would like to see is a prioritized list of what you think is needed in the order that you want it. And I respect your opinion. You've done a good job, and hopefully you'll continue to do a good job. And I'm happy that you're presenting it way ahead of time before the budget time comes so that we can keep it in the mind.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and I'll have that priority list available for you during the budget process.
Or before, actually.
Or before that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And also, when you're calculating it, show us how does it affect the budget if you were to talk about buying equipment, that's what it's going to affect. If you're going to talk about raising the salaries, etc., that's what your priority is. That I'd like to see a more detailed description of how does it really affect the budget today, next year, and the future years.
I can do that. Thank you.
Mr. Wright.
Yeah, I concur with a couple of those points very strong. One is that if you don't have money, you borrow it. If you have extra money, you get interest on it.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a brainy deal to me.
Well, I agree with you and the mayor. That's the council's prerogative. I know in the other cities I've worked for, we didn't have that much money available for purchase of apparatus, and the alternative was to do the lease purchase or lease or rent or whatever you want to call it for a 10-year period, and then have the engine paid for. So again, when it comes down to discussion with Gene and how y'all want to pay for something of that magnitude, then that's y'all's prerogative.
And the other point was I like the prioritizing and the price tag.
Okay.
Oh, I appreciate your presentation, and I think you're doing a pretty good job on trying to get things done so we can make everything smoother for you and the guys. And hopefully we can just get together and do some things for you.
Thank you.
Well, I like the prioritizing. We definitely need to do that. I wanted to speak to that. You spoke about flashover.
Mm-hmm.
I witnessed one down there at Dixon Furniture when it burned. That's awesome looking when it happens. And
well, I don't know if it's awesome looking, but
well, I mean,
spectacular.
You're looking at this and you're right. At that point, there was nothing anybody could do.
Right.
Something that does concern me and is the fact, the last two fires that we've had here in town, both were empty houses with no utilities.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way we can solve that problem?
We do have our arson cases that we work, or suspected arson cases, and we do have a lot of vacant buildings that catch on fire.
Right.
We've solved some of them. We've got people in penitentiary right now because of some of those. We can't solve them all. And
well, I had one directly behind me a number of years ago, and it was like, how could this thing catch fire by itself?
There's two things. Being in charge of code enforcement, we're working diligently to try to rid the city of some of those vacant.
Well, the two houses that I looked at, what they were showing, they didn't look like bad houses. The house behind me that somehow miraculously caught fire was not a bad house. I mean, we have a lot of them that are.
Well, we can't control where the fires start.
I know. I just wondered, do you have any kind of a task force or any kind of some kind of
we have a fire marshal that does all investigations. We try to determine cause and origin of the fire, and obviously have to follow up with the owners to see what involvement they may have had. If it comes down to it, a lot of times it's vagrants that go in there, especially this time of year. And we had one the other night where somebody set a fire in a vacant house.
See, the one behind me, the owner was in Louisiana. No involved. It was not open to the public. It was secured, and yet it still was set on fire somehow. No utilities, and so it wasn't electrical. I just wondered if we had any kind of task force.
We have the capabilities. If we have a ration of fires, which a series of fires that we suspect arson, we do have the ability to call in the ATF and have them assist us. I don't know if y'all are aware, We got a grant from State Farm to get an arson dog.
Oh.
And that'll be coming in September. Well, the city of Paris will have their own arson dog.
And they sniff out and
sniff out.
type of thing. Oh, okay.
So that'll be coming in September, and we're just going to continue to work on it. I mean, you know, it's an old town, and we have issues here.
Well, the houses that burned that I'm talking about weren't the bad ones. I mean, we know there's some bad ones.
Right.
So, I don't know, it just puts our firefighters at risk running out trying to put out a fire. There's nobody there, and we don't really know what caused it, other than there were no utilities on.
Dr.
Thank you.
It sounds like we're in a deep money pit, or lack of money pit. And, but that is kind of daunting, the fact that we need several expensive pieces of equipment. We need to adjust the pay scale, it sounds like, to prevent people from leaving, and we need to reopen another station and hire staffing for that. So looks like we're going to have to work hard to figure out a way to make those things happen.
I can't speak for the former fire chiefs, but Paris has gotten in a rut. I'll have to say a rut. I mean, as an outside observer, and we've got to break the cycle, because if we don't, you know, the vulnerability of the community is going to continue to be high. So whatever it takes, we're going to have to work together to do that. So.
Again, like everyone else has said, I appreciate the presentation. And Dr. Hashmi's comment about prioritizing. And just like you said, we've got to look at everything, because, number one, we have to look at our safety of our citizens in our city, but we also have to look at the safety of our firefighters and making sure that we have the best that we can have and keep them here. So, again, I appreciate the work that you have done and giving this report and working here for the city of Paris, and just look forward to trying to shake a tree and come up with some money.
We'll do that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Item number 22 is discuss hiring of a public works director. Ms. Drake has requested this item.
I did request this to be put on tonight's agenda. And as the city manager in our notation has said, this position has been vacant for almost 1 year. And I know in the beginning you were not planning on hiring that position. And in bringing this forward, I have nothing, and I want to say this, I have nothing against any of the supervisory personnel in any of the departments that this encompasses. My concern is the city manager has been overseeing Public Works since we lost the last Public Works director. And my concern is some of the issues that have come up in the past few months of him having to try to oversee that, plus his normal duties. And as we go forward, I only see possibly more being put on you, John, just like tonight, talking about the abatement and having the city manager and a council person meeting. So that's going to be more. And then as we go forward with this huge project of our infrastructure, that I think you're just going to become more and more involved in that. And I just think that at this point that the city needs to look at possibly going forward and trying to replace that person so that you can focus on being the city manager that we hired you to be, or the city hired you to be. And I'm not saying you haven't done a good job. I'm just saying I just don't want it being overwhelming and you being spread too thin. And I think sometimes that can happen. And I think with everything that we have got going on in the future going forward, that I just wanted us to bring it forward and see what the council thought about, is it time for us to replace that person?
Dr. Grossnickel.
Well, I kind of tend to still believe maybe John could make that decision. I know he has a strong background in public works from his previous positions, not just as a city manager, but in starting as a water department employee, I believe, and as a young man. So, but, I mean, and it is nice that we have saved the money on that position. I don't know how your various department heads feel about it, and if they're happy with the status quo and you're happy with it, I'd support it indefinitely if you feel like you can handle the burdens of your job and that as well. So that's all I have to say.
Ms. Lancaster?
Well, I think he's been able to handle most of the challenges. One of the problems that I see is we had that unexpected ice storm, which we're going to deal with for a long time, and that's where I really felt like he probably could use some help. So I'm not sure if we need a full-time person in there or if you need some sort of a helper or what, because I just see us working on this for quite a while.
Jameson?
Well, I really haven't heard too much on it, but I mean, on this position, if he needs the help, he can get the help, or if he can do it by himself, I mean, that's really up to him.
Mr. Wright?
I think that recently the storm has brought forth problems that probably we would have been in better shape if we'd have had a public works director. Not having known that it was coming, I don't think any of us would have predicted it, but it happened. And
I think Mr. Godwin has done a fine job being the public works person in charge. I have no complaints about it, really. He's always been attentive to whatever I've said, and so I'm perfectly comfortable with it. However, I think it's an important department, and yes, we are saving some money, but I think in the long run, we should have a public works director. So I'm, in spite of your good job, please don't take it wrong in any way or sense, I'm tempted to support Ms. Drake in saying that we need to hire a public works director and have a department head, just like other departments have heads. And yes, we are saving money. I have no doubts about that. But if we were to kind of reduce department heads, we'd be saving money on all of them, but we don't do it because there is a responsibility associated with it. And public works, I think, is a very important department, just like fire department, of water department, of police department. So I would go along with Ms. Drake and say that I'd support hiring a public works director at this point. So that's what my opinion is.
if the object were to save money, we could eliminate some other positions and save more.
Is this a motion item?
No, it's just to provide direction.
I want to see what the council wants to provide direction, so we need to give him an answer at this point. I'll say that I'll give my 2 cents in it, and I'll say hire one, and we'll go down the council and see what others want to do. Mr. Wright, yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins, yes or no?
Hire one.
Hire one.
I'd say hire one.
Dr. Grossnickel?
I'd still leave it up to Mr. Godwin.
Okay.
Chris, and again, John, you have done a great job. I just felt like that we need, at this point, that we need to hire another director.
Oh.
Could I get?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Since it affects me. I do get the sense, because a couple of you talked about how we've not done well enough with the response to the storm, and so I'm getting the sense that we're trying to solve a specific problem. And if there's a specific problem, I'd like to know what that is, because this may be the best way to solve that problem. Maybe there's other ways to solve that problem. But if we've got specific problems we're trying to fix, then I don't really like to hear that publicly, but I need to know what those problems or perceived problems are, if that's what we have. As far as as far as the department, I believe it's running well. I believe the 6 managers in that department have stepped up. 2 or 3 of them are here this evening. It is something we talk about, and absolutely, it's never occurred to me that we would never fill that job. When the vacancy came open, it was my expectation to leave it open for 6-8 months. Part of that was to get a feel for the department, to spend a lot of time in it myself. Part of that was so that those managers would have an opportunity to have more responsibilities. They've done a great job. Nobody's ever perfect, but they've done a great job. And like I said, it's something we do talk about periodically. And so far, our consensus has been that, not yet, not yet, not yet. Now, if y'all tell me to go hire somebody, we'll hire somebody. But again, if it's a problem we're trying to fix, there may be other ways to handle an operational problem than just this. This caught me by surprise, so I'm not really sure if there's more to the story than I know.
I'll give my opinion on this. It's got nothing to do with the storm. It's got nothing to do with the performance.
Okay.
I think it is just that I think we should have a public works director. So whatever I'm saying certainly is not based on the ice storm or the performance. I think the performance has been fine. I think what ice storm was unexpected, it was bad, and so I'm not saying it because of that. We can go down the council and ask if anybody is saying for that particular reason. But my general sense from hearing is I would not take it personally by any chance that, again, I don't want to speak for others, they can voice their own concerns, but my sense from listening is not, I didn't get a sense that it's because of the ice storm. That's just
The reason I brought it up is, of course, the ice storm, nobody predicted that. And and I'm not saying you did not handle that. Were there problems? Yes, there's always going to be problems whether we had a public works director or not, or whether you were doing it, okay? Because this was something totally, you don't plan for an ice storm, of that magnitude. But as it has gone through, and as I started thinking about the infrastructure that's coming up, and then the icing on the cake tonight was talking about the tax abatement, and us wanting you to be involved in that, plus a city council person. That's what we had a department head for, and we have saved a lot of money. And like I said, in the beginning, you had said a few months without it. And I brought it up at this time because I thought, we've got a lot on our plate, and we've got a lot more coming up on our plate as far as the council and you. And I just felt like it was at this point where we needed to look at replacing that person as we go forward with all this stuff that was coming up on the plate for you and for the council. So that's where I was coming from.
Mr. Lancaster, you want to clarify your position on this? You have
It's not the job that John's doing. I think he's done a wonderful job.
What?
It's just the sheer magnitude of everything.
Yeah, and I don't mean to be coming across as defensive. I'm just asking, sometimes there's more than one ways to skin a cat or fix a problem if there's a problem.
Yeah.
If it's just a matter of,
And
we
the
know we're going to have to hire one
supervisors
of these days, and
Right.
today's the day.
I don't get the sense.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
get that sense, quite honestly.
Yeah,
But again,
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I think we have gone long enough with that one. And again, like I said in the beginning, I have nothing against any of the supervisors. I think they've done a great job.
Well, one of them's a smoker, but.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Two of them are smokers.
Just don't smoke in front of my house when you come by. No, but I think they've done a great job. There is nothing against. They have stepped up to the plate for a year. I just think it's like we said, every other department, the fire department, the police department, everybody else has, and you've got a lot of people in this department. And I just think that's just my personal opinion.
Okay.
I think it's time.
Fair enough, yeah.
If I could make one more comment. I might just suggest maybe not just rushing to do this, because right now we realize we didn't have the equipment or the manpower to do this humongous task. So we just appropriated $250,000, and that's just a Band-Aid probably to what it will really
Yeah.
end up costing. But maybe we should let John still proceed and look for the right man, but not get in a huge hurry while
Or
we're
woman.
spending other
Or
unbudgeted
woman.
funds on the cleanup.
Yeah.
Because we are going to have to
But
continue
I
to
would,
spend
I would
money.
like to see it being posted in the next
Yeah,
few months.
we'll move forward.
You know, not wait 6 months, but in the next 2 or 3 months, maybe get it posted and,
Okay.
and advertise for it.
Ms. Lancaster.
I wanted to say that everybody did a wonderful job. I just don't want to see y'all worn totally out.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's why I just don't want you to get overwhelmed.
yeah, okay. And I know, like, two of these guys, all of those public works, they have worn themselves out.
I
so
know,
that
yeah,
has
I know.
happened, so,
And so,
absolutely.
you know,
We don't want to wear out our
Yeah.
good people. We
No.
want to keep them.
Anybody else wants to? So I suppose the direction to be given is that move forward with it. It doesn't have to be yesterday.
you don't
but-
have to post it tomorrow.
Yeah, but
Okay.
post
But in
it
the next
relatively
couple of
quickly.
months or so.
There is one little problem though, and I think there is a little bit of unfair thing that I'm seeing here today. How come I didn't get that iPad that you're holding?
Well,
How did it happen that the city manager gets it before anybody
I
else
actually
does?
just, I brought this, I was gonna show you this during item number.
Which I-
27.
Uh-huh.
That this is what yours is gonna look like.
Well, that looks
And
very
so
nice.
We hope to have, they've all been acquired, and so we hope at the next council meeting in 2 weeks, you'll all have these.
Now, since I have two chargers,
So-
does that mean that I do get two of them since there's two chargers?
No, one of those is, because you're so phone rich. In the next couple of weeks, Kent Klinkerman or Russell Thrasher will be scheduling a short time or a long time, depending
how tech-savvy
to
we
train you on how to use this and whatnot. No pornography or anything like that's allowed. No online gambling, anything like that at all. But this is what it'll look like, literally exactly like this.
And which iPad is this? I'm just curious. Is this the new?
It's some little Apple with a red cover. That's all.
Well, yeah, I realize. Is this the newest one?
we all have red covers?
Is this
or
the
do we
thin
have-
one?
Everybody has red covers.
The thin one. The thin. Okay, the Air. And what? How many gigabyte capacity are you taking in it? It's 12, 18, 32, and 64.
16.
16. Okay. All right.
Are the activities going to be monitored?
Yes. Yours will be very closely monitored.
All right. So moving right along,
You wanna
can
do
I
this next
ask? Can I ask that we, Mr. Fryson's not here today. Can we table item 23 till the next time?
I would move that we do it, because I've also sent some emails out that I haven't
Yeah.
gotten all my responses back for.
Okay.
we're
So
supposed to
item
bring something
23,
back.
I'd like to make a motion to table it.
I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 23 is temporarily tabled. Item number 24 is discuss and award a bid to the lowest responsible bidder for collection and disposal of ice storm debris and receive updates on removal of debris. Now, I know Mr. Godwin is going to talk about it, but I have a few questions before we even start on this. So my first question is, do we happen to have that RFP for this? Can we read this just a few minutes for, I would like to point a few things on it.
You say, do we have it?
Yeah, do we have it here?
I don't think I have the ad that we placed,
Yeah, the RFP.
not with me, no.
Okay, because to begin with, I have some concerns about it, which I'll voice. One of that was that it says cubic yards of brush. And the problem that I have with that is that, I mean, the brush can be small, the brush can be big. How do you calculate cubic yards? If you calculate cubic yards based on the truck, a truck might get filled up very quickly if the brush is all expanded. So if we are going to pay that way, then we have an issue about the truck will not be completely full. And so my first question was that I know it may cost, but would it not be better to break the brush and make it into chips before we start calculating the cubic yards? And so I need a little answer on that one, number one.
Okay. Cubic yards, well, two or three things. One is each load is inspected. So if somebody's got a 50-yard truck and it pulls up and dumps out, we don't just put down 50 yards. Each truck is inspected to see to what degree it's full. So if it's a half a load or 3/4 of a load, there's a discount for that. When they leave, we inspect it again to make sure they really did dump everything out, either accidentally or on purpose. If they pull in and they leave and there's still limbs or brush in there. So we get a pretty good read for that. The other thing is, and the main reason we used cubic yards, because we talked about people can also charge it by the hour for crew or for equipment. That's how FEMA calculates it. That's how FEMA compensates you if we get any FEMA money, is by the cubic yard. So these vendors are used to using cubic yards, and people are used to paying cubic yards, and that's a common FEMA measurement.
Yes, and I'm not opposed to cubic yards. I'm just opposed to the fact that we are measuring cubic yards without chipping it down. And so your truck may be full, but the thing is it full of all these brushes that are flowing out of the truck, because it's still counted as cubic yards, as against compacting all of that into a much smaller pile of cubic yards, in which case it becomes a smaller cubic yard with a lot more brush in it. And number two, if you have chipped it, and I realize the fact we may end up spending money on chipping it, but can the chip be sold to the bark operators? And so my feeling on that is just the fact that, number one, I think we need to calculate how much chipping is going to cost. Number two, can we do the cubic yards after chipping rather than before chipping? And I know it may be a task to do, but the thing about it is it's taxpayers' money, and it's your money and my money and all of us' money. And so we have to be a little bit cost conscious on that. So that was one of the things that, and I know we want to speed the process up, and I know we are the ones who are asking you to speed, and now we are saying slow. I'm not saying slow. I'm just saying that I just think that we will end up spending a lot more money in non-chipped cubic yards than we will if it was chipped cubic yards. So that's number one. Number two, if we can please come to the liability on this, on the insurance coverage. We don't have that RFP?
I don't have it.
Okay. Well, I'll say it then, since I've seen it. Insurance of $100,000 may seem a lot of insurance. John, Mr., you have it now.
Oh.
Yeah. And I don't remember the exact number, but if we can go through that for a second, please. I want to see where the liability or where the insurance requirements are.
Well, we're requiring $500,000 of liability, or $1 million of liability insurance total, and $500 per incident.
But now where is
specific amount is not included in that bid.
But that's what I'm saying.
We've included that in the contract document.
Okay.
That we
but I think we should have it specified so that it doesn't happen that somebody comes up with the low insurance.
Right.
But if you have it in the contract, that satisfies my answer.
And in fact, not only do we do that, we also make sure that insurance is valid, because one thing vendors can do is they can give you a sheet that says, I've got insurance today, but this particular city has to be also additional insured. So the awardee will have to provide that information, and then it'll have to be updated periodically too, because another thing that vendors can do is they can have insurance Thursday and not have it Friday.
Okay. The third thing that I wanted in this was that there is no specific clause of automobile liability. So that if they have a truck.
Yeah, in that regard, we're requiring what's required by state law, plus the liability.
Okay. Do you think, the city attorney will have to answer this, do you think it is important to specify this or not? And my other question on the same token, was the fact that, whether we are replacing infrastructure in the road or whether we are picking up stuff, should the liability be the same for all of it? Or does everything require different? Because if you're on a city street, you're on a city street, whether you're picking up brush or whether you're digging a trench to lay down pipe.
Well, your risks are different depending on what you're doing. Certainly the risk of a truck or a boom truck or a trailer is different from heavy equipment, for example. For those of you that have almost been hit over here by the Baptist Church the last few weeks by their heavy equipment because they're not very safe, or they haven't been, there is a difference in liability for those kinds of things.
Okay.
So each job usually, has its own specific requirements. So we've conveyed those to the vendors, especially those lower, the vendors that gave the lowest prices on Friday when we opened bids.
Okay. And the last thing was on the report you had sent on Friday. There was one other question on that, was that we spent, about 50,000 on the first part?
On the collection for the contractor,
yeah.
yes, about 49,000.
And the amount of work that is shown is about 8 to 10 days of work, I think, right?
For that one vendor, yes.
Yeah. My question is, did we calculate how much of an hourly cost did we incur? I mean, how many hours did they do, or how many truckloads did they deposit for the amount of money? I'm not trying to be critical of what they did. That's not what I'm just, this is just for information's sake, that what does an actual truckload cost us, or what does an hourly charge cost us?
Yeah, in the case of that vendor, who did bid, but who's not the lowest bidder on the formal bid process, they were also getting paid by the cubic yard. And each truck generates a ticket. And I don't know off the top of your head, Bill, how many truck tickets would we have? Do we have 100 or 85, or do you know at all? Or
well, you don't have to guess. If we can just get that information at some point.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, every truck generates a ticket to itself.
Yeah.
And so that's how that's monitored. And of course, without that, we don't know to pay them.
Yeah.
And then also, if we get lucky and get FEMA money, we've got to have those truck tickets. So there's a very large stack of every single truck ticket, the driver, the truck information, how many cubic yards it was hauling at that time.
Okay. And the last comment that I would like to make is that if at all possible, I believe in a bulk contract being a more cost-effective contract. Now, I may be wrong on this. This is not what I normally do. But I would think that if you give somebody a contract worth $200,000 versus $50,000, they can probably haul more. But again, I'm not saying they can or they cannot. It may be the same amount. What I would like to do is to relook on two aspects. One, if we can chip it, and two, if we can give a bigger contract and see by just the sheer volume or the amount of money being bigger amounts, that maybe we would be able to do more work, get more out of it than spending it in bits and pieces.
Okay.
Again, just, and I know it may delay things, but the thing about it is, I'm just thinking that it has already taken a while and it will continue to take a while. And I know we may have to go through a bidding process for that, but the thing about it is, if we do that, will that be a better choice for us? It may delay it a little bit, but, and these are just options that I'm thinking of. I'm not saying this is the right or wrong option.
As far as the bigger bid, that's typically you have an economy of scale. But there's not a limit to the size of this. We didn't say we're going to bid out this much and that's all. In fact, what we put in the bid document was that FEMA has estimated $60,900. Well, we think that's too low. But we're not saying that's all you're going to get to do. We're not saying you're going to get to do half of that. We're not saying that there's a dollar limit. We had a meeting earlier today where we said, well, probably in 2 weeks we're going to need to come back to the council and say, this vendor's already spent up as much money as you allotted. The particular price, the low bid we got, well, we got two bids at less than $4, $3.43 for the lowest bidder. This is a very large company that has extensive equipment, has extensive experience. They've worked hurricanes and ice storms and fires and tornadoes and earthquakes and wars and famines. I don't know what they're here tonight. They can speak for themselves. But they're set up to do this. And part of that is the economy of scale. The reason they're able to do, and they're from Alabama, Part of the reason they can do it at such a low price per cubic yard is because it's what they do, and because of that economy of scale, they can get a lot of people out here at one time. Now, part of the problem with having too many people is that you end up having a long line waiting at the drop-off site, and so you got to balance that. They have the ability to pick up, they say, over 30,000 cubic yards in a single week, and that's probably not going to happen because we probably couldn't handle it at our drop-off site that fast. But anyway, going back to your comment, there's not a maximum on this. So I think as far as economy of scale, we've already achieved that.
No, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, instead of awarding a contract based on that, say that we are going to give a contract of $200,000 and open it up and allow how many people will do what amount of work in this, whether it be by the number of streets, what streets, or the load, or chipped or non-chipped, or something of that sort, where by having a larger amount, you're competing. Don't take me wrong, please, I'm not against you. By giving a larger bid, having multiple people bid on it, that, okay, I'll take 10 kilos of load compared to somebody else who will take 15 kilos, somebody else compared to 5 kilos. I hope I'm making my point. I hope I'm not getting all of this jumbled up.
I don't know how you could, and maybe you can, I don't think you can bid a project like that. And as far as, again, the size, we've bid the whole city. So it can't be any bigger than what we've already bid as far as size. Help me out or tell me I'm wrong.
If I can, just a little bit. And I'm Tara with TNT Disaster. We were the low bidder. There's a couple things that I wanted to share with you. When you're talking about chipping prior to hauling it into the landfill, if you anticipate no reimbursement, then of course you're at liberty to do whatever you choose to do. If you anticipate any form of reimbursement from FEMA, you must quantify that debris as it comes off the right-of-way. As far as hourly is concerned, what happens? FEMA will reimburse an hourly contract for 70 hours. Max is out at 70 hours. Anything you do hourly over 70 hours, there is a venue if you're doing it internally, but if you're hiring outside resources, you have a couple of options. You haul by the cubic yard, or you can haul by the ton. You can do a lump sum bid, but I wanted to share a couple things with you. They advertised a bid, and I believe you had 22 respondents? 22 respondents, of which many of these companies are very large companies. We work throughout the United States. And I just want to give you an idea. Our industry is economy driven and is also driven by the magnitude of storms throughout the year. The proposal that I gave you was for $3.43. Your estimate of debris is 60,000 cubic yards. This is all I do for a living. The only thing I do. I own a disaster response company. We estimate debris. We do PDA assessments. I do not believe you have 60,000 cubic yards on the ground. I believe you're going to come in closer to about 45. But assuming you do, because you still have a lot in the backyards to come out, assuming you do at my bid price, it would be a total of $205,800. I can't speak for anyone. I can just tell you this is what I do every day of my life. I promise you, if you rebid this lump sum, you will never get a price that cheap. I mean, it won't happen lump sum. And the reason for that is when you bid lump sum, it puts the contractor at risk. Because maybe you have 40,000, maybe you have 90,000. It's very difficult to do a true assessment of debris that's lined on a right-of-way. Until it makes it to a landfill, it's a guessing game, even for FEMA. I mean, FEMA will come in and do a PDA assessment for you. It's never accurate. My PDA is never accurate. You can't pin that down. You can pin down debris once it's in a landfill. You can do a measurement on it. Length, you can do a measurement and get real close. But out in the field, it's not going to get real close.
Go ahead, please finish, then I'll ask you.
And the other thing that I wanted to comment on about insurance, I agree with you completely, and I wanted to show you that we have already listed the City of Paris as additionally insured. We do a waiver of subrogation. If I cancel my policy, you are to, anyone who is listed as a certificate holder and additionally insured, you're notified. But I carry $1 million worth of liability, a $2 million aggregate, $1 million auto, and $1 million in comp. So it does cover you sufficiently, as I think you were looking for.
Okay. So let me just ask you one question here. Do you chip?
I grind, and we do chip. I mean, I also own a tree service. I do some chipping. If you tried to chip the amount of material that you have on the side of the road, you would be here next Christmas before it got up. Because side chippers chip certain sizes of debris. They can't do large trees, and they chip very slowly.
Okay.
You also have, those chips have to go into a bucket truck, which I own those. But you're not doing a measurement. So if you ever if they come back and say that you're going to get a declaration, you will be disqualified for reimbursement because that debris was not quantified.
Okay. So you cannot quantify the chipped portion. You have to quantify the non-chipped portion. So if you quantify that we had 20,000 pounds or 20,000 cubic yards of chip, that doesn't count?
It doesn't, because if you look at the FEMA 504, each type of storm is rated. There is an outbound quantity that comes from an inbound of debris.
I understand all of that, but you can just simply say, no, you can't.
No,
and that I'll buy that.
Honestly,
because
you
you're
can't.
an expert, I'm not an expert on that.
The answer
you don't
is
have
no,
to
you
give, yeah,
can't.
the answer is what I'm looking for. So that's one question. The second question that I have is kind of pinning you down now.
That's okay.
Since you've said that you do this all the time, and you feel that there's about 45,000 or whatever, does that mean that's throughout the city?
That means, that's what I believe that your residents have piled currently on the right-of-way.
Throughout the city?
Throughout the city.
Not one district?
I've ridden every street in the city.
Okay. And your estimate that is coming to is about $204,000 at this point?
That's at 60,000, correct. It would be
That-
$205,800.
So for all that matters, it could be less than that?
Or it could be more than that.
It could be more than that if it's more than 60,000. But
Correct.
at the current estimate that you have, which is 45,000, it would be about $204,000.
Less.
Or less.
No,
But you
it
don't
would
have
be
to be
less.
exact. This is
That
just.
205,000 is
Yeah,
based on
roundabout.
60, and my estimate is 45 that's on the right-of-way. But you do have probably a third of that that's still in yards that has not been brought out.
Yeah, but I think that, as far as I'm concerned, that's not that much of a problem, because we are going to give a deadline, which is what we had discussed, of being able to bring things up to the front, and at that point, it becomes their responsibility to bring it. If they're not there and they've not put it in the front, then they move it themselves.
And I agree with you. I will tell you that every city that I work in feels they're going to do that too, and they put that notice out 5 or 6 times, and you will be amazed. Even if I stay here for 2 months,
You'll
the
still
day
keep
I
coming.
leave, you
It'll be
will have
coming, yeah.
a huge volume of debris still come out.
And so, if I'm not mistaken, then, if my understanding is right, that from the amount that we have allocated, there is a good possibility we might be able to get all of it removed.
It's possible, but remember, we've already spent
Yeah,
money for different things. The biggest chunk, of course, was the interim contractor, but it certainly is possible. It's just that unknown of how much is out there.
Yeah. But she's an expert, and she feels that, you may be wrong a little bit, but that is kind of what your estimates are. Yeah.
I also want you to know another thing, and I just want you to know this for your knowledge. Again, our industry is economy driven. The
Yeah.
price I've given you, and not just me, you had 22 bidders. $343, I promise you'll never get
not-
cheap. I mean, we do the same type of hauling for $7 and $8 a yard. It's
I
economy
understand
driven.
that, but I mean, these are questions that I have got to answer
Absolutely.
in my mind. I'm not
Sure.
disputing your bid, I'm not disputing your price. For all that matters, you could have had it at 4 and I would have still been fine, because the thing is, it's not in my knowledge of exactly what the rate is.
That's why I wanted you to
Yeah.
know.
My other question to you is, if you're continuing the way you're continuing, what do you estimate is the time frame that we can see the city clean?
And that's at your direction. Here's what I would tell you. I say 3 weeks, and I think 3 weeks is good for me and good for you. I can change that. I can clean
No,
the
I'm
city
not
in
wanting
3
you to change
days if it's
anything. I
what you
just-
want.
this is
It's
just-
not ludicrous to you.
Okay.
For a couple reasons. One, if you flood the city with trucks, they sit in line at a dump for 2 hours.
Yeah.
They're defeating their purpose. Number two, and you'll see as we're here, I promise you I'm correct in this, it doesn't matter how many times you tell these people to put the debris to the right of way. You can do flashing signs, you can do it on TV. I promise you. I mean, and there's a lot of legitimate
I have-
reasons.
I have no
it
doubts
takes
about
a
it.
while. So for that reason, we can clean it up real quick, and then I normally leave a truck or two just to help you guys, because it's going to keep coming out. You don't want to do it too quickly, but The equipment that I have allocated and what I think is the most efficient for you guys, you should be done in 3 weeks, other than a couple little things coming out that we'll stay and help you with.
Okay. Thank you very much. No more questions, at least for now.
Thank you.
Mr. Wright.
No questions.
Mr. Jenkins?
I think y'all pretty well got it. Summed it up.
This was not a grilling exercise, but no, this is just questions that I needed answered because, I mean, obviously we are spending taxpayer funds and I want to be conscientious, and I'm sure Gene will be happy, right? Saving. He's been giving us bad looks ever since Mr. Wright did his presentation.
Yeah.
Ms. Lancaster?
No questions.
Dr. Grossnickel?
I was just wondering, when you chip material, and are these open dump truck type vehicles? And wouldn't that chip material go blowing out on your streets if you tried to haul a lot of quantity of it? Or do you have tarps that go over the trough?
There's a couple ways to do it. What I own are bucket trucks. That my chipping machine actually will blow into my bucket truck. It does have some excess that goes out, but for the most part, it goes into the truck.
Okay.
It's just not very efficient time-wise.
Okay.
And those chippers can only handle up to a certain diameter. Right. So if you get to a home that's got a bigger tree, you have no choice but to pass it by and leave it.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Drake?
I have a question on John. She says 3 weeks. And after they do the massive, the way I understand it, they'll do the massive cleanup. Would our people then be able to handle any of those stragglers that came out?
Well, the big unknown is how much stuff is in backyards that's still
Right.
going to be in backyards, and that's why we don't want her to go away completely.
Right, I agree on that.
And of course, she's got experience in that too. In fact, that's one of the things that she put in her packet of information was that she was of the opinion it would take 3 times through the town to get it all.
Right.
And that was the experience from some of these guys that are here tonight that were here back in 2000, that it took 3 tries to basically get it all. So, to answer your question more specifically, yes, we could, but I don't want her to go away too quickly.
No, I
because-
don't either.
Because, again, we've got them needing to do other stuff already.
Right.
And we're really looking forward to getting them out here Wednesday morning and going crazy, getting the town cleaned up, A. And we're really looking forward to Wednesday morning parks and streets, doing parks in the streets instead of
Yeah,
limbs
because I
and
know
brush.
we've got the spring coming up and all of that, and we've got a water leak in front of my house,
Yeah.
a massive one. So, yeah, I know that they need to start.
Suddenly I've developed some more questions.
But that answers my question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Where are you located?
We're from Mobile, right outside of Mobile, Alabama.
Okay. And how many employees do you have and how many trucks do you have? And what kind of equipment do you have
Do I have or that I'm using here?
that you're using here?
We're going to use, John and I spoke about it, I guess we're going to get a little more direction tomorrow. What I've done is proposed what I thought was suitable for your town. You're the client. It's your job to direct me and tell me what you want.
Yeah.
So tomorrow if everything goes as planned, upon signing contracts, we'll discuss that, and whatever you guys want me to do is what I'll do. But I've anticipated putting 10 to 15 trucks, spacing them throughout the city. And the reason for that is, just in our experience, you want to show presence everywhere. You don't want presence in one district, because then you're having everybody from the other side of town is going to call and say, why are you cleaning them up and not us? So we try to spread our forces in the 4 corners of the town and then the central, working toward one another.
Why are you located in Mobile, Alabama?
It's by the beach.
We have beaches here in Texas.
Actually, my grandchildren live there, is why I moved from Daytona there, because my grandchild lives there.
And how many employees do you have?
We have 4 members of our company. We have 9 project managers. But what you'll know about our company, about our industry, we don't keep permanent full-time employees because it's storm-driven. We have people that we train and that we utilize based on when an event happens.
Do you have a location in Texas that you have?
I do not, but I've paid my fees to work in Texas.
Why are you not in Paris? That's what I'm
Hey, the jury's still out on that.
So there is a possibility you might open something in Paris?
If I could get my grandchild to come here, I
Okay.
certainly could.
I'll vote in favor of her.
we can bring the ocean here.
Yeah, I don't think we can bring the ocean here, but we're going to have a wonderful Lake Crook.
Yeah, we will. We'll put some sand at the corner.
That's right.
Just one thing I say.
Mr. Napier? Yes, go ahead.
It doesn't matter now, but as far as grinding and mulching, we are doing a lot of that. We've done huge quantities, in fact, at the compost site already. We'll continue to do that. We have had a contractor that's come out, and he will return to do more, because we're going to close down the site to the public that's out behind the sports complex. So they'll start going on March the 1st. That's Saturday. They'll start going to
February.
the 1st of February, excuse me. Yeah, 1st of February, thank you very much. The compost site, which is on 7th Southwest, is that right? 7th Southwest. The contractor, hopefully this one, and our city crews will still go back to the far back at the sports complex, but the citizens will start going on Saturday. That way we'll get rid of the fires. We're going to quit burning this. We're going to start mulching all of it rather than burning it anymore.
And so there will be an alternate site for the citizens to continue
Correct.
dumping.
And that's the normal site they go to with their spring cleanups and so forth. So people that have used it before are familiar with it. It's just be a lot bigger volume.
Do you think it'll be good to open another site somewhere closer by so that they don't have to haul it too far away? Because anything that the citizens will bring to that area will help us reduce our costs.
Well, our trips have already gone down significantly. Of course, we've closed on Sundays now. Splitting that up into 2 different sites, I think, will be fine. If not, we can expand or we can move things around. We're trying to maintain flexibility, keep 2 sites open at all times so that we can move around if we have to. But we're going to try that at least at the beginning. I think we'll be okay.
Janice, don't be yawning. God. Oh, my God. I know it's late, but not that. Okay. All right. All right. So how does the council want to proceed on this? Dr. Grosnickle is
I would like to accept this bid. If
Okay,
we haven't
all
already
right.
done so.
If you would include, I don't think we need to do this, but just in case, if you would include in your motion, if you're going to make a motion, to also designate DRC Emergency Services as an alternate bid awardee. That way, if something horrible happens or they get lost coming from Mobile, we don't have to come back in 2 weeks or 4 weeks and start all over again.
Dr. Grosnickle, you make that motion?
I will make such a motion that we
All right.
accept the TNT contract, I believe it was, and as an alternate backup also in the event of a major problem with TNT, that we have an alternate DRC or whatever you said.
Or ABC.
I have a question on that. What is their rate?
$3.96.
Okay. Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion goes through. Nobody opposed, right? TNT? Okay, all right. But congratulations. I hope you move to Paris, Texas, though.
And I'll give you my street
Yes.
address.
Yeah, so that next time you don't have to drive from Alabama. I hope there isn't a next time, though.
Oh, gosh, no.
Roads don't have any more.
Bite your tongue. Whoa.
All right. Item number 25, appoint a council member to serve on the Joint PEDC Airport Advisory Board. Can I make this a little bit simple by just nominating Ms.
Sue Lancaster.
Ms. Lancaster?
I second it.
All in favor?
Are you okay with doing that, Sue? Okay.
Anyone opposed? No. Thank you very much. Sorry, Mr. Napier. Okay. Item number 26. Discuss the lengthy lane blockage of Grand Theater. Mr. Wright.
Yeah, I asked that this be put on the agenda because for some number of years, there's been obstructions on the sidewalk over there, and it's gone out into the lane, and you know, we're pretty strict on what we allow other people to do, but we're not setting them a very nice pattern.
Yes, I would agree with you
I'll
there.
hang up and
Right.
listen.
Okay. I would definitely agree with you there. I think you may have talked to Mr. Smallwood today. I've talked to Mr. Smallwood a few times, and we're trying to get all that put into place, into order, where hopefully we can get in and out of there. I think you may be referring to the sidewalk as well, being closed.
I am, and I'm amazed that this close to City Hall, nobody else has noticed that. Utterly amazed.
Yeah, well, as you know, since October or the end of, well, November is when actually the contract started to fix the roof and to repair the facade. The roof has been fixed, that part has been done and completed. Now the sign contractor is there working on the front of the sign, which they've actually just initially started on. The ice storm has slowed everyone down immensely. We basically lost most of the entire month of December as far as any work being done in that area. So the hope is to get those guys in there within the next month and
Mr.
hopefully have this completely done away with.
Mr. Deputy, just make it short. Give us a date. That
Well, I
will be
don't have a
done.
date from the, I'm
Just
trying
a
to get
ballpark at least. So.
I would say maybe end of February. That's what I'm hoping for.
All right. Thank you. Is that? Does that?
Yep.
answer?
Thank you.
Okay. Consider and approve future events for City Council pursuant to Resolution number 2004-081. Janice? Yeah.
So the training for that?
Not fair is all I'm going to say.
Soon.
Okay. All right. So if that is the case, then.
Do you have a question?
Huh? Yes.
Oh.
One
Thank
on
you.
one?
Thank you.
Why don't we just do this that? No, listen. do a just like we do a budget session. Let's do a joint session, and then we can do one-on-one after that. Or you want to do really
Who wants to do one-on-one?
one-on-one? Okay. All right, one-on-one. So we'll just tell everyone to contact.
No, he's going to contact us.
You'll contact
You're
us?
gonna contact us.
Okay, you contact us.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anything else?
I
It
just
looks
wanna know,
good though.
are you saying
I'm
some
just
of us
curious,
are
why
gonna
did
need
you
more
pick
than
up
others?
bread?
Oh, they just brought it to me this afternoon. I would not have picked red.
What would you have picked?
Blue, you know, it's a city color.
I think red is pretty.
Red?
It keeps me awake during the council meetings, though.
That's right.
Yeah, it does remind me of the fire department.
All right.
I look good in red, so what can I say?
You're wearing blue though.
I will. It was clean.
All right, item number 28.
I make the motion we adjourn.
Okay.
Since Mr.
Second?
Marchand in here.
So move.
All right.